Okie dokie, we should be live. We are live. Good morning, folks, and welcome to another RSG Jedi Academy. Thanks for being here. I'm your host, of course, Ranger J 1999, and welcome to the Q&A show for Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. That's right, that's why we're here. We're here to have croissant coffees and answer your questions about Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and this is a straight Q&A show. And the way it works is if you have a question for one of us or one of the awesome panelists we have on the show, all you need to do is put your question into chat. Make sure you put question in front of your statement, and then we will get that scooped up. The reason we do that is because we use Nightbot. We filter it out. So if you'd like us to get to your question, all you need to do is put question in front of your statement, get your question into the chat, and we will get you rocking and rolling. That being said, let's introduce the amazing folks we got here with us today. First of all, my co-host and heterosexual life mate, we have Dr. Finn Medicine Woman, the troll extraordinaire. Good morning, Dr. Finn.
Good morning, everyone.
Dr. Finn, I think I need a lobotomy.
Why?
For my ass. Nah.
Oh my god.
I was gonna go the other way from Evil Betty. I was gonna
Yeah, I know.
like just say any joke and just be like my ass. Nah. All right. Also joining us, we have the one and the only, the true hero of rock and roll. Warrior from Warrior Presents is here. Good morning, Warrior.
Well, good morning. Good morning to you, too.
Very good. We shall go to town and kick ass in Kung Fu. Oh, it's another fine Saturday. Another fine Saturday here in the dock. And, not much going on in the game as usual. Nothing much to see here. In fact, you know what? I think this show we should just sit around and talk about our feelings and stuff. Finn, we'll start with you. Finn, how do you feel about everybody wanting to eat porgs and you being the only one on the planet that doesn't want to eat porgs?
It feels very bad. I feel alone.
Very
Porg
well.
McFadden behind me has now taken to befriending poop. I mean, this is what it's come to.
And he's actually got his hand on the poo.
It's his buddy. It's Poops McGee.
Or I'm sure you can see this, that there is an actual porg behind Finn that actually has his hand on top of fake poo.
From a certain light, it looks like the BB-8 icon. I'm just saying.
It definitely looks like the poop emoji, Warrior.
It's simply the BB-8 icon. That's it, you guys. And why should we be so rude?
It's the poo-poo icon. So, but we'll have the other panelists get here if they can make it here, but it's fine. If not, we'll grab your coffee, grab your breakfast, come on down. Enjoy a nice, fine morning here with RSG as we do Jedi Academy. Now, Warrior, I know you watch all the RSG shows, and yesterday we did a live Q&A reaction to the Q&A that was going on. Reenact. I was well, Finn, you tell him what we did yesterday.
Yeah, so Reality Skewed Gamers, Communication Liaison Services, took it upon themselves to do a quote-unquote live Q&A the proper way and actually do it on a forum besides the forums. So we actually reenacted all of the Q&A as they were posting it with special devs. It was pretty fun.
We had all the devs.
Watch it. But we had all the devs.
I did the vast majority of the voices, Warrior.
I was Crumb. I played the role of Crumb.
Yes. So we did that for the fans yesterday.
But what were your thoughts on the Q&A in general? Not ours. Well,
no, not ours.
On ours if you want to, but the actual.
Besides that Oscar award-winning material that we put out yesterday,
we should be considered.
We should be winning an Emmy or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
First off, I feel like I missed something great yesterday because I did not see your guys' show, and now I feel like
you must go. Yes,
life is not complete without going back and watching that, because that sounds like more fun than what it was that I did yesterday, which was read the questions that were being surrounded and not really answered by the developers. What I got out of it, and I'm not trying to be derogatory, I think they're all hardworking folks, but What I got out of it is that they want to add more ships, like they've said since the beginning of the game, that they feel like they need to do more, which means they're going to bring it out slowly, and that over the next year we're going to finally see enough ships that we might actually have a couple of different options for Grand Arena. So that's good, sort of. I mean, it's not going to be the same as characters ever because they just don't put the same effort into ships, sadly. But, for a lot of people that don't like ships, I guess they don't really care. So there's that. I mean, they're going to bring in ships. They got the light side, the Geonosis, that we knew that they were bringing out. That's just a reskin that's coming. They have always said that they are not going to build a mode where we can do testing, like a sandbox mode, even though I've suggested it and so has everyone else. And then yesterday in the Q&A, someone asked about the sandbox mode, and they actually said working on it. So that means that they're trying to work on something like that or similar to that. So interesting that they're working on that. Hopefully everybody will still be at a point where they want to play the game that much. So hopefully, because sandbox mode was definitely one of the most requested things in the past. I didn't, honestly, I was like scouring it for like what's coming and stuff, and there's really nothing.
No.
There was nothing about future content that we didn't already know about future content. Hey, more ships, more capital ships, we knew that. Light side, we knew that. Possibly other game modes that they're working on that they're excited for, we knew that. Trying to fix things that are broken, we knew that. Trying to apologize to us because they keep making mistakes, we knew that. Like, it was just the same. And they had a lot of the questions asked beforehand and answers determined. So it was a lot of cookie cutter answers, and so I didn't feel like that was really, there wasn't a whole lot to get out of the Q&A. I was hoping for more, and that's not me being critical. That's just me looking for something to talk about for today, honestly. And there wasn't really anything to talk about other than it was nothing to talk about.
Pretty much.
So I got to go watch your guys' show.
Yes, you'll have much more fun with it. Dr. Finn, we, after we've had 24 hours to digest it, your thoughts on yesterday's Q&A?
I mean, besides what Warrior said, which is that they really didn't give us much information, the other thing which we mentioned at the end of our stream yesterday was they just don't seem properly connected with the community. They can make whatever little efforts they want here and there, but it's not consistent, and it's also not quality in terms of what they're trying to do with the community. I don't know if you caught, I went a little bit crazy, Warrior, on one of the responses by Top Hat, where they were asking about the player experience and how they do it and how they put themselves in the player's shoes. And the question was asking about some of the end game content. Top Hat's response basically said he's restarted his gameplay 5 different times, so he understands the struggles of like old players. And it was not in those exact words, but he was like combining everything together when we're talking about endgame, and said he restarted his account 5 times. And I don't understand how you can understand where players are coming from at the higher end. Maybe you get a better understanding of the newer players and trying to keep them attached to the game and to keep on investing at the beginning stages so they become long-term players. But they said nothing towards endgame.
Like the gear grind, so I think they're trying to like say, hey, we understand the grind, we understand the grind. No, not if you've restarted 5 times. I read that and I thought the same thing. If you don't dedicate at least one account to the long haul, and this is the thing, I mean, I don't know all 80 plus people that work there. I haven't met them all. I haven't had conversations with them all, but I've met dozens of those guys, and they're all hardworking, good folk.
Yes.
Every one of them that I thought were good guys, and gals. I met a lot of nice gals. But they all had accounts, and when we look at it, there was a vast majority of them that it's like, this is what I do for a living. I don't want to play it on my own. Like we spend the majority of our time playtesting what we've built. We build it and then we try and play it and find the bugs ourselves, but there's only 20 people playtesting, so they're like, we're trying to find the bugs, but we just we don't come across them. But they're so busy playing that they don't want to go out and play the thing. They also have a rule they can't be competitive because they get free crystals and stuff, so they can't like be number one in arena. It's not fair. So the game they basically had a rule they couldn't be in the top 100, so they can play and have fun and be in guilds. In fact, they're floating out there and they're in guilds. People don't even know that they're in their guild, so be careful, but they're out there and playing and have fun. But a lot of them, just when I looked at the roster, it was like just pathetic. It was really bad. They just didn't have a whole lot of effort into the game. And then there was a few that this is their life, like us, and they played it and they were just as good as anyone. One of them that was like that was actually Mage Ducky. He freaking loves the game. He plays it every day. He came from the player base, though. He was a player, and then he came from a player to, the other side, much like some of the others. They've hired a couple of players that, that eventually become part of their team. So there's a few people that are like super passionate about the game as far as like playing it. But yeah, starting over isn't going to give you any experience other than the new player experience, which I'll tell you, I started over once before, like a year in, which was a couple years ago, and then I gave that account up, and then I started over again this year. So I've started over every year except for last year, and so I've experienced 3 out of the 4 years basically with new accounts, and one of them is still aging, my original account. So I've got the full spectrum from the original, within 6 months of the beginning of the game all the way to now. I have an account from a year in, and I've got an account just 7 months in, and there's definitely a different perspective. I mean, one of the things I could say for sure is if you're a new player, you are ridiculously blessed in a way that other players weren't, for a bunch of reasons, but I'll name just a couple. The first is you benefit from all the information that's been out there for all of this time. You don't have to make the mistakes and then realize that your roster reflects those terrible decisions. You get to be laser focused. 2, you can do relics now. You could focus on General Grievous, Relic, and win Padme. You don't even need to have the other characters more than just 7 stars. You don't have to even invest gear into those characters because you one character can literally go through the entire event. There's a lot of old events like that now where you just need one character relicked, and there's like one good character in every team. Like, for example, Ezra. If you just relicked him, you can have the rest at like gear 6 or 7, which you can get to accidentally. Gear falls on people till about 6 or 7, pretty easily without effort. So, now that relics are in, it's changed the game. All the old events are worthless. Like, there's no challenge. You just have to get one character really, really amazing, and that's it. And so there's the ability to do events much easier. The older events much easier. Not like maybe the last 2, epic confrontations, but aside from those 2, the rest are just like cakewalk now when you could relic one character and just smoke the event. And so it's just funny to see the advantage that they have for that. Also, the amount and type of gear that they give is insane. So most guilds nowadays now have Rancor on Sim, so everyone's getting 10 of him character-wise in gear drops, and then they've got the hats guaranteed, the heroic AAT. If you're not in a guild that's doing both the heroic of those 2, like, seriously, you've got to leave and go do that, because that's just crazy if you're not getting those 2 characters. And then Sith Raid, there are over 65% of the guilds now doing the Sith Raid, and so if you're one of the 35% that aren't doing the Sith Raid, again, you've got to go find the guild that is, because guilds that are doing all 3 of those are having a hard time finding people to fill their seats, and they at this point don't even care. They just need people doing 600 and willing to play the game, because there's been a lot of atrophy in those old guilds. But those, getting in a good guild is easy to get tons of gear, and the gear they give now, it's like each time they bring out new content, they make the older gear easier to access, and they give more of it. So like what used to be hard to gear, for example, like getting those any Mark III shower drains or the Carbantes or cuffs or guns, like those are not as difficult today to build and create as they were 3 years ago. And if for anyone that's struggling with them, I feel they're still a struggle, they're still a gear grind, but it is nothing compared to what it was when it first started. And in fact, they're changing the look of the gear. Nothing will teach you this more than finding an old character from the past, like, I don't know, Rex or Darth Sidious or someone like that, and trying to gear them. You will find that the gear you're getting stuck on is easy gear. You're going to look and go, oh, 20 purple, oh, that's difficult. Not at all. Way different than today's grind where you're like, oh, I need 260 pieces of hard to drop purple. It's a totally different experience, the newest characters versus the old ones. So anyway, I think it's an interesting experience for them to restart, but I don't think it gives them a unique perspective on endgame, like you said.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, that was the main thing that I got from there. There's obviously other little things here and there that we kind of talked about already, but they're and the weirdest part is you literally have a group of people that are willing to help you for free, right? All the players that are really invested in this game are willing to spend their time. They even created a forum post about beta and asked people to sign up. I'm sure they had a lot of people who asked to sign up for the beta because they want to test this and make this a good game, and they don't capitalize on it. Basically, free labor waiting for them, and they don't capitalize on it. So that part was rather disappointing, that's the direction that they decided to go. So, yeah.
It is what it is. Anything else stick out, Finn? Warrior?
I'm sure something else will pop into my head because there was a couple of things, but that was the main one.
Okay. So get your questions in, folks. We are collecting those. We're going to get those going here. So I think we've got some questions in right now. So it'll just be a nice little fireside chat with Ranger, Warrior, and the man with the potato head. So let's begin. Finn, just start throwing questions out. We'll just start just having a nice little fireside chat.
We'll rotate it between all of us so we can...
Or is this started snowing there in old Colorado? I don't even know what the temperature is there.
Yeah, so in the mountains it snowed a lot, and in fact one of the ski places opened up already, and it was like the first time they've ever opened up before Halloween. It was like funny that they were able to do that. We in Grand Junction, where I live, got snow. It was the first time we'd gotten snow before Halloween for a long time as well. And then, of course, because Grand Junction is Colorado, the weather changes really fast in Colorado, just being near the mountains. So it was like 50 degrees the next day. So all the snow's gone. Of course, it's a sunny blue skies day right now. It's going to be 55, I think, today. So it's decent. Cold, but wind wise, not too bad though.
Not too shabby.
You know what? Actually, there is one other thing I wanted to mention from the Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
And since we have Warrior here, I'm wondering if maybe I'm over defensive of the other YouTubers and stuff, but I'm
I forgot about that one. Yes.
The way that they address the Galactic War Report. And I have nothing against those guys, and they do a good job on their podcast. But the way that they addressed why they're on the Galactic War Report of all of the things, and basically saying that they felt that they're the most journalistic and journalistic and professional or something like that of all of the different people, and then they canceled the Game Changer program, and you and Arnold and Mobile Gamer and Cubs, I'm sure, have a bigger following than Galactic War Report because people just tend to gravitate more towards YouTube than podcasts, although they do a great podcast. But I felt like they just took a slight at all of the Game Changers that they had, YouTubers, basically promoting their content for years, and now they're just going to the podcast forum because I don't really understand why. Their answer just seemed like a slight at all of you guys. That's at least the way I interpreted it, but I wasn't part of the program. So I'm kind of curious what your thoughts were on that.
So the Galactic War Report has probably never said anything negative in their life. I've never personally heard them say anything negative ever about anything. They're always like positive spin, which is cool. I'm kind of the same way. I try not to be, a negative Nancy. I always try to be, someone who's positive and upbeat and try and look for the positive in things. But I mean, sometimes an apple's an apple and you got to kind of call it out. And the truth is, we're the voice of the community. So sometimes if there's a concern, you should address the concern head on. You shouldn't like dwell on it and just be like, quit the game. This game sucks. But you should be like, hey, here's a problem. Here's a solution. I don't believe in giving a problem out without giving a solution. This has been my mantra for my entire life. Like, if you're going to complain about something, great. What's your solution? I get people that come to me all the time. They're like, oh, I don't like this and this and this, the way we have to do it here at work. It's like, cool. What way would you do it? I want to know what way you would do it, because you may not get that way right now, but at least I'll know what you think is more efficient or better. So, I don't believe in, saying something is not right or broken or whatever without a solution. So I've never not been solution oriented. I always give solutions, so that way they know kind of what the community would want or how we would want it, or ideas on things, that kind of thing. So overall, though, I'm a pretty optimistic and positive person. I just try to be, because life beats us down enough. We don't need to beat ourselves down, right? But something about that particular podcast they clung to early on. In fact, there was some leadership that actually, it was an older leadership, like in their 40s, that really enjoyed podcasts. I remember a few years back asking them in person, because they'd a couple of times done exclusive releases of information back in the day when we had the Game Changer program with podcasts. And we remember asking like Jesse, and then after Jesse, it was whatever his name is, I can't even remember. And Nick, that's right, Nick. And we'd say like, hey, why'd they get that exclusive or whatever? And, he'd be like, well, they just, so-and-so really likes podcasts. And it's like, well, but that's silly, because they reach 200 people, and, Arnold reaches 100,000. So, but they're like, well, we just choose to do it our way. And it's like, okay, whatever, fair enough, So, it's their favorite thing. But I think over the years, every one of our channels has been a sounding board for their stuff. We've been optimistic, but there's been times when we've joked at their expense or been critical at their expense. And I think that at this point, I can tell you one thing about Capital Games. They are all way hyper and oversensitive. This is unequivocal. I guarantee if they're listening right now, they're getting pissed off at me, and I haven't even said anything yet that's rude or disrespectful. And they're turning red as we speak, and like, F him. We're not even gonna watch his channel anymore. Nobody even watches him. It's like that. And I know this because I have physically seen that behavior from them, where they've gotten frustrated and stuff. They've gotten really butthurt. I've had times where I said something or did something on a video, and they've reached out to me because of like literal hurt feelings. For example, the whole BB-8 thing. I just off the cuff said that the BB-8 buff, jokingly, kind of because of my bad vision, kind of looked like a little turd emoji above people's heads.
It does look like a turd emoji.
It does. See, I'm not the only one, so it's not like I'm being super rude. I was just kind of calling an apple, and like I was giving him, there's obviously an opportunity for them to redo the emoji, and if they don't, then that's fine. But like, it's still kind of funny. I mean, it's not like I'm being like, hey, the artist is a piece of crap himself or something. Like, I wasn't trying to hurt artist feelings. They got straight up pissed off at me for that. And Nick came to me and said, you don't have to change your video, because we can't make you do that. But out of honor and respect for the relationship you have with the team, would you please just go cut that piece out? Would you consider that? So I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? It's a business. It's a business that I'm doing. I have my role, they have their role. And if I've hurt, someone I'm doing business with, like, at work, if I hurt someone that was my client, feelings, I'd probably just try and, navigate around it, because I don't want to like hurt a client's feelings. So you kind of, spirit of the law type thing, you try and do the right thing just because, not because you have to, but because you want to, because you're trying to be the better person, right? So I was like, you know what? I pulled the video down. I clipped that little section out with the turd emoji, and I put the video back up, and they were like, you know what? Thank you so much. So they have seen goodwill. In fact, there's been a couple of videos where I've come out where I was a little bit critical of the team, but I also gave really good sound advice on where I'd like to see it go and stuff. And they actually reached out and said, you're the only YouTuber that has been critical on this topic, that did it in a healthy and diplomatic fashion. And then they publicly messaged all the game changers and said, if you want to see how to like be disrespectful, but in a respectful way, go watch Warrior's latest video. And I was like kind of beaming, because I'm like, wow, you know, I've got this relationship with him that I can still be myself and voice my opinion. But since I do it in a healthy and diplomatic way, you know, they're honoring to that. But when Nick and the Game Changing program kind of just fell apart, all communication ceased, and they've just not had any desire to do any communication with us. The problem is after 6 months of zero communication, unfortunately, overwhelmingly, the YouTube community has gotten more and more and more negative. And this is like, think of it like a friendship. Like, I'm friends with you and we do stuff all the time and we talk all the time. And then you're like, we're still friends. But then when I text you, you don't respond. And then the next week you're like, no, we're still friends. And then I text you and you don't respond. And then the next week you're like, no, we're still friends. And I send you an email and send you a birthday card. And hey, here's some good stuff your way. And you don't even say thank you or even reply, and so, are you sure we're still friends? And so you get frustrated and you're like, you know what, screw that. We're not friends. Like, this is the deal. He's this, he's that. I've done this. And it's just natural. This is human psychology 101. Everyone feels burned, jaded, tired, blah, blah, blah. So the negativity has creeped in. A lot of people have spun real negatively. We've all had our moments. I'm not perfect. I've had moments where I've been frustrated in the last few months for sure. But all in all, they're now seeing kind of our AKA true colors. But they kind of brought that out of all of the YouTubers, because the truth is a lot of the YouTubers had a lot to say, but held it back because of the courtesy factor. Like, we're doing relationships with them, so we're going to keep our cool and not say things. So there's been a lot of things that we haven't said or done to kind of be honoring to them, because we had a relationship. We don't have a relationship anymore, so it's like gloves off, we do whatever we want. And so now at this point, if they think it's going to make good content, they're going to slap that label on it and say what they're going to say. And the team at Capital Games, I guarantee, see these videos and they're done. They're like, F it, we're never going to talk to them again. Like, I guarantee it, that they have literally had zero desire or effort now to talk to any of them. But Galactic Warport, through this whole thing, has maintained that kind of that positive, moralistic outlook, which is good for them and good for the community to have another positive kind of sphere or influence. And I do feel a bit like them, because I'm not all doom and gloom either, And so the only thing is, it's funny because they're going to them to spite the rest of the, like the game changing community, because they don't like the rest of the game changing community. It's just funny. They go to an outlet with 200 people that will listen, instead of actually going to, an outlet that would actually help them get the word out, that could actually change perception. And they're so upset. They're like a teenage boy, pissed off at their friends. And so they're willing to only talk to someone else that they like, instead of, you know what I mean? It's like they don't have the professionalism that they need in this. They just get really butthurt. They're super oversensitive. They're like a bunch of children. That's their biggest issue, honestly.
Oh yeah,
if they could grow up and maintain professionalism, they would skyrocket, and they would be able to communicate healthily and all that. They do struggle as a group, as a team. They struggle with this as a whole. For those who are responsible for the communication piece, they're just very, very oversensitive. But so is almost everyone in today's day and age, sadly.
Well, I wouldn't say everybody, because you and me, Warrior, we got that old soldier mentality. We can take a lot, man. Like, for me, it's hard for me to grasp that concept of being butthurt. The problem is, without communication, you can't, which just boggles my mind. Communication 101. If you're talking to folks and you're giving your ideas and your opinions and stuff, and you're having that dialogue back and forth, then it's easier for people to kind of see your side of things. But when you have no communication with, like, any of the content creators, then it's up to you. Now, we've always we've been very harsh. I've been, and by me, I've been very harsh towards CG for certain things because I really did not like what they did, and I wasn't going to sugarcoat it. I was going to let them have it because they really, I felt, in my opinion, they needed to hear not what they wanted to hear, but what they needed to hear. Right? That sometimes you have to voice, your feelings in a way that gets through, right? Especially when, for us, never had that kind of relationship that you've had with the Moyer. So we've always said, I've made it a point to be harsh and very critical, but we've always had something here, and that's we offer solutions, right? And we had different opinions about that. As a company, you want to hear that. You don't want to just get all butthurt. And if you are butthurt, then reach out and then have a discussion about it. It blows my mind. You've got these incredible resources, Mobile Gamer Arnold and Cubs and yourself and anybody that is content creators that have more than 1,000 subs. These guys, they're basically pimping your stuff, and you're basically, it's on you, the fact of what they are saying, because if you're not giving them anything, they're just going to go with what they got. They can only interpret what you're saying or not saying. So you kind of leave it up to them.
And the thing is if you've ever heard Mobile Gamer, I will say, I know there's tons of people that love Mobile Gamer. There's some people that don't. I love Mobile Gamer.
He's a good guy.
And this is why. I feel, he's a great guy. He's a phenomenal guy.
Yeah, he's in my guild.
I feel a bit like Trump right now. He's wonderful. He's terrific.
He's so amazed, boss.
Yeah. I'm just using all these adjectives. But no, he really is a legit, down-to-earth guy. He's very humble. I know sometimes he doesn't come across that way, maybe because he's, YouTubers that we sometimes come across as arrogant or whatever. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. We're personalities, and so there are going to be moments where maybe we seem that way. But honestly, face-to-face, in person, Mobile Gamer is straight legit. He's awesome. And he has had a lot of interaction with tons of different companies. We're talking, Raid Shadow Legends and like 3 different Marvel games and, like 16 other games that he's dabbled in and Marvel Strike Force and this new Dragon game or whatever. But anyway, the point is he's dabbled in a lot, and he has had many relationships. And the part that he says that I find so just like hook me in and like, you've got this. These people don't need him. They want him. That makes sense. Capital Games doesn't need us. They should want us. There should be a desire for a relationship. They should be seeking us. They should be paying us, literally. They should be saying, hey, can you make a video about this? And we will compensate you in this way. Why? Because content creators, it's a job. It's a business. Now, I do it more hobby-esque, whereas Mobile Gamer is his full-time job. Arnold is his full-time job. Nobody goes out there and says, give me a bed for free. You know what I mean? Like at my work, like they walk in, they know when they walk in, they're going to pay something for something. It's like, that's how it works. You don't get electricity without paying for it, kind of thing. So, when you work a job, you're going to be compensated for the job you do. Well, this is YouTubers. This is their job. And there's lots of different ways of being compensated. And this is the thing. Every other game out there, they seek us out and they say, hey, we like what you're doing. We like your team. We like what what you've got. We want you to, play our game and see what you think. And this is how the relationship starts. And then you play it for a while and you send a message back, hey, I think it's pretty cool. And then say, cool, we have in November, we are trying to make a push for this new event. That's a pretty cool event, but we want to get the word out. Can you make a 30-second spot in your usual videos? We don't want to be intrusive. We know you do stuff on other stuff. So if you could just make like a 30-second spot for our game, that would be cool. And we'll do, we'll give you a few $100 or we'll give you $600 or something as a thank you for, mentioning our game. Like, it's a favor thing. It's like a tit for tat, a quid pro quo, because it's supposed to be, because it's a business transaction. It's a business relationship. You're supposed to say, hey, I want to benefit you. You can benefit us. You're going to talk about it for 30 seconds, and then maybe some of your viewers will come and check our stuff out. And if not, then we paid for advertising that didn't work, but whatever, at least we tried. And that's the business. And if you're listening to this now and you think that that is stupid, then you don't understand business, or you're just, getting butthurt because you're not making money that you could be making if you actually put in the effort to do this. So, people that are like, oh, YouTubers are dumb, they make money off of stupid stuff, blah, 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 blah. YouTubing is a legitimate outlet for people to make money and have income. So, for anyone that's hating on that, that's just ridiculous. So, but he's had these relationships with hundreds of other companies, and every one of them work the same way. They all have a quid pro quo. We're going to help you. You help us. Let's talk. They give them information. They give them, oh, there's an upcoming thing. Let me explain it. So you're going to be able to explain it to the community. You become kind of a mouthpiece for the team, and not in a bad way, just in a here's how you can explain this new event to people. So not only do you understand it, but the whole community will understand it better. And so it actually helps those who are playing to understand it better, which is the whole point, right, of YouTube, like education and community. And Capital Games does not do that, at all. They're like the one company that we've experienced, especially Mobile Gamer said that he's experienced, that has zero desire for quid pro quo. They expect fully for you to be a shill, but not actually get compensated whatsoever for being a shill, if we want to say that. And by the way, nobody calls anybody a shill for going to work and making a paycheck. So it's funny people call YouTubers shills for going to work and making a paycheck. It's one of the most demonized communities out there. But anyway, that's another topic. So I find it funny because he sees this in every relationship. And I've had relationships with 8 different companies myself, and 7 of them were phenomenal and all very much, including other EAs. So this is funny, including other EA companies. Remember when I went into doing the videos about the Command & Conquer Rivals? I still play that from time to time. I actually played it yesterday. And I still play that from time to time. Command & Conquer Rivals is fun. That's an EA game. And they still talk to me and how you doing? Do you still play? Are you enjoying it still? Yeah, I play it, blah, blah. And they know I'm not going to make videos on it anymore. And they still talk and hang out and hey, did you hear about this new character? He's going to be pretty cool. It's oh, cool, man. Thanks for letting me know. And yet here's Capital Games. They refuse to say a word to anyone that has a YouTube channel. It's super weird. It's a super weird cultural thing. And I can tell you it is within those 4 walls of Capital Games that it's uniquely weird like that.
All right. So we've got questions pouring in. Let's just have a little talky talk, Finn, with our good friend Warrior, and let's get into these questions of these amazing fans.
Yep. So we'll rotate it kind of amongst all of us.
Yeah, we'll just have fun talking about stuff. Yeah.
So Warrior, question from Darsion 1972. He says, if I want to run Negotiator in Fleet and I take first daily, what relic level should Anakin be for ETA to survive? What's the ideal lineup? Lots of Negotiators now in my shard. Thank you.
So obviously, ships, relics make a pretty big difference at 3, 5, and 7. So when you're doing relics for ship characters, make sure you go to the relic tier 1, and then the next stop is relic tier 3, and the next stop is relic tier 7. And for Anakin, you really want to get to relic tier 5 and above. He's not the capital ship. I do recommend the capital ship going all the way to 7, General Kenobi. Make sure you have him at 60 mods and everything, because you want to be the fastest negotiator. And if you can't be, you want it to at least be a coin flip. So 50% of the time you can win, because whoever goes first statistically wins. That's just how I experienced it. So that's the most important character to relic, honestly. The rest can be relic tier 3 or 5. And honestly, relic tier 3s, once you hit relic tier 3 is really easy to get to. It only takes a couple days. Relic tier 5 takes a little longer, but it's still not that big a deal. And I would recommend at least relic tier 5. Their survivability comes more in the way of gameplay and how you play than in their actual relic tier, because you don't get a ton from the relics. You get a little. You get some speed, some health and protection, but it's overwhelmingly not nearly as much as you would think. So someone has a relic tier 7 5s, and I still beat them every day, and I have a relic tier 5 5s. So does those extra 2 relic tiers for the difference? Not really. I beat him. So that's not, some of those other characters aren't a big deal. Now, I've noticed a lot of them starting to try Ahsoka in the front lineup with Anakin and Houndstooth. And the reason for that is when she gets debuffed, which people incidentally do through that AoE, it happens, but the debuff goes out. She will always cleanse. When she cleanses, she gives retribution to everyone. And so then they're countering, and those are two big attackers. And so on defense, it tends to bring about a lot of counter damage that really wears your Houndstooth down fast. And then they bring in their tank always comes in first, and all of a sudden he's doing an AoE and your tank's gone. And once your tank's gone, you start losing every ship pretty fast. And that's the thought process behind that. I find that that's actually an easier comp to beat personally. And when Toten Tufel from Maw on my leaderboard has that out, I smile to myself. So I'm like, man, I'm going to be able to guaranteed win on the first run against him. So that's a great composition. Your back three for me should always be Ahsoka, should always be Plo Koon, and should always be the clone ship, the clone sergeant ship, because he's another tank, and you will probably lose a tank. And you're gonna go through a lot of those ships. But I like Ahsoka in the back lineup to come in to dispel. So like a lot of times there's two tanks taunting because I go second a lot, even though it's a tie, it's a coin flip. Seems like I always lose that coin flip. And then she comes in, and I always make sure she's targeting someone that's taunting that's not Houndstooth. And then she dispels that taunt, and then I focus on over to Houndstooth, and I do her special, and it's a one shot, and so like cleans up a tank. And then as soon as they bring in another ship, it resets her cooldown for that amazing shot that she has. Plo comes in second, and he like regenerates everybody and brings back, gets rid of all the debuffs. I did notice in the Q&A, they mentioned, well, not the Q&A, but like just recently in the last couple of days, that they mentioned individuals should have Plo Koon and they're not using him as much. They were kind of surprised. They were talking about another ship, and they said, we were really surprised people aren't using the Plo Koon ship. We don't know why, blah, blah, blah. I do agree with that. I don't know why anybody wouldn't use that ship. I've been talking about that ship for over 2 years. As an amazing ship, and it speeds the team up. And so when you're in doing battles side to side, if you want to get that leg up and kind of get ahead of them, you bring in a Plo, do his second, his first special, which is his second ability, and all of a sudden you're now ahead of the opposing team, and you can kill something and kind of get ahead of that kill curve. So Plo's definitely a number 2 I would recommend, and then Clone Sergeant's just a really tanky tank that can do some decent damage that everybody should have on their lineup. So hopefully that helps. I, on my front 3, of course, use 5s, Houndstooth, and Anakin. And then there's this new tank coming out. I don't really think this new tank's going to be viable except for at 7 stars with, kind of maxed out. And this is why. There's a very key thing they mentioned with these ships. They said these new ships that are crewless, it's because they're lazy, but I'm not going to, knock them for that. I get it. They don't want to build a bunch of extra characters or, build a character specific to a ship. So whatever, but they did factor in relics. So they said basically a crewless ship at level 7, 7-star, level 85, they said is equal to someone who's like relic tier 7, comparable. So what that means is with no crew, that 4th, 5th, and 6th and 7th star are worth a crap ton more than a normal ship, because normal ships don't get that overpowered until they get their character to gear 13 relics and blah, blah, blah. So because they're crewless, there's one less thing you have to do, which makes them twice as effective at the star levels that you're doing. But that also means that there's significant power jumps at the 6-star and 7-star. So until you get that, 7th star, that ship's probably going to be just, less effective. But once you get it maxed out. So if someone was going to whale on a ship, these are the ships to whale on, I'll be honest. But if you aren't, if you're not going to whale on them, they're probably not going to be something you can stick in your lineup at 3 stars until, they become farmable in 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
All right.
Next question, Ranger. You can take this one. Question is from Utah. And he says, since mods and me don't like each other, who are the top 10 characters that should have fastest speed sets in order?
Wow. Just Wow, that's a really interesting question. So we talk about this all the time when we're doing roster reviews. That certain characters need speed. I'm not gonna go like 1 through 10, but I mean, like,
That's what he's asking for. He's asking for kind of like
well,
an order.
I'm not gonna give you an order per se because it's a little subjective. But you always start with your arena team, and I don't know who you're running. See, this one gets subjective, right? But there's certain characters, and I always look at it from like a TWGAC perspective. You start with your arena team. Your fastest mods always go on that team. So let's say you're running Darth Revan, Basila, and the rest, right? You want the fastest set on your Darth Revan and your Fallen Basila. You know, now you can go Malik, but it depends, and that's a rare thing where, you know, Warriors talked about this, where Malik is the fastest, he goes first, he takes off taunt. But there's other teams now that are involved in Arena. We're starting to see that a little bit in the meta. But like for the Darth Revan team, you definitely want Darth Revan and Basila fast. Darth Revan above 330, Basila above 310. Some other characters that need speed is like Bosk. Like my Bosk is 306 speed. That puts him at 336 and with the second Zeta on the Bounty Hunter team. The rest of the Bounty Hunters need like for the team, you know, you could put speed say on Jingo and potency, but it's not as important as having that high speed on Boss. Boss goes first, he's taunt, you can't remove it, and then the team's just doing AoEs, and that's what makes that team a pain in the ass. Jedi Knight Revan needs speed, high speed. Grand Admiral Thrawn needs high speed. Colonel Stark needs high speed. Rex needs high speed. BB-8 R2-D2 needs speed. Just those are some main characters I'm thinking off the top of my head. You can run a fast NAS, which is not necessarily required. But that's the kind of the characters you want to have speed with. For instance, you can go Night Sisters. Some people, not all, but I mean, I prefer it this way. Like Zombie and Spirit for me have high speed. Why? Because I want them going first and taking as many turns and getting being a pain in the ass. So you can go speed with them. So like, you know, characters like that, you know, when you're modding characters, it is about that speed, but you also have to think, I just need, like, the perfect example I give is the Imperial Troopers with Stark. Now my Stark is 279, that puts them at 299. I use my troopers a lot in GAC, and they're still very viable. They can kill a lot of stuff, especially if they're faster. And I just got Range Trooper to 12, so I'm really excited for that, because I was using the old school, to how good troopers can be, I was using the old school lineup with Shore Trooper. But now that I got Range Trooper 12, it just makes them that much more awesome to use. But it's all about Stark, just like Boss with the Bounty Hunters. Stark goes first, he gets off, and you have to mod your characters to be within a certain percentage of him with his speed, but they go first and they get that death ball going. That's how you win. But the other characters need like some speed, but they need like damage, and you know, your tanks need to be tanky. You know, Padme is another character that could, you know, for the Padme team, unless you're doing a Darth Revan counter, which is a total different lineup, you run high speed on her because you want her to get to her, you know, flipping the script, getting the other characters with that extra protection, they're resisting, you know, so you have to think about it like that. So I would say we'll throw Padme in there. Darth Revan, Basila, Bosk, Jedi Knight Revan, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Stark, Padme, unless you're doing a Darth Revan counter, BB-8, definitely. R2-D2 is one I would throw in there. C-3PO, and let's see, we need one more. We'll leave that a little bit ambiguous, but like high speeds and like near 300 stuff like that you want to eventually work on. That's why you should be slicing mods. Those are just some of the characters you should focus in on. There's more, but I mean that's just a general, like if you can get those characters going, that's going to give you a lot of your team for those guys kicking ass and taking names. So there you go. Uta.
All right. And this brings up something. Acheron mentioned that it would be a good idea to bring it up in chat, and it is a good idea. So thank you for mentioning it. If you guys aren't aware, as we're talking about mods, Territory Wars has changed, and so has Grand Arena, that it no longer locks at the end of the sign-up phase. it now locks the instant you press join. This is one of the changes that they implemented with the latest content update. So if you guys are signing up for Territory Wars right now, and you made updates to your roster that you want to include, make sure that you leave the Territory War and rejoin it so that it locks and snapshots your roster again. Because it's not the same as it used to be. They're trying to figure out a solution to stop that mod swapping stuff. So it snapshots at the time you hit join. So rejoin if you guys made any changes that are significant. So, okay.
This public service announcement brought to you by Smaxmos. Smaxmos, supporting Star Wars Galaxy heroes and the war since 1922.
Okay. Next question from Acheron, and I can take this one, is why did they make it much easier to get to Khyber at lower divisions? There are 50 plus people in Khyber at Division 3 before anyone in D1 or D2 are there. They give the same amount for feats and victories, but even though there's only one less team, they significantly reduce the thresholds in order to reach the different divisions. So it's not scaled properly. This is something that Division 1 and Division 2 players have mentioned to CG multiple times about the discrepancy. And it kind of forces the D1 and D2 players to actually do a lot of the feats in order to get it. D3 doesn't have to be nearly as focused on the feats and can still get it just based on victories most of the time, just because they didn't scale everything the same. So the scaling is done incorrectly at those divisions. That's why Division 3 and below, actually, you'll see a lot more at Khyber. And the other ones that are higher are not quite set up correctly. So they said they're working on it in, I want to say, a post 2-3 weeks ago, something like that, when this was first brought up, that they're evaluating it and they're looking at what the stats and everything are. So just be on the lookout for that probably changing here in a little while. Hopefully, anyways. Okay. Next question for Warrior from Elliot Worsfold. He says, is it still worth putting Zetas on General Kenobi and Jedi Knight Anakin for the Padme team?
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to take a step back and think, how many Zetas are you getting an inflow of? What teams do you have? Is this team one of your top teams, or is it like a team you're brand new on? There's just so many caveats to this, but let's assume you have a really great Padme team. And by the way, it's Padme or Padme. It doesn't matter. I just watched all the shows over again. And I got total crap given to me for saying Padme. And I was like, why do I say Padme? I don't know why I say Padme. And guess who else says Padme? Guess who else says it? Anakin freaking Skywalker says it nonstop through all of the shows. Padme, 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 Padme. Oh, I love you, Padme. So I'm like, no, that's her freaking name. I don't care what anyone says. Anyway, now that I got that out of my system, I was like, no wonder I was always saying that. Yeah. So, yeah, he puts the emphasis on the D. That's cool. So do I. But anyway, if you've got that team that's overpowered, yeah, of course, every team, when you start focusing on it, all of the Zetas make a difference, right? So if you were to go into like General Grievous team, you don't have to put Zetas on anybody else. But if you put the B1 Zeta on it, it makes a difference. You put the B2 Zeta on it, makes a difference. Those are good Zetas. Do you have to have them? No. Do you want to have them? Well, yeah. I think to complete that team, you really want to focus on those events or those things. So, like, Anakin, yeah, why not, right? That's a great one. It also makes his ship stronger, significantly stronger. Same thing with General Kenobi. It makes his ship faster. It might be the difference between you going first and not going first. And it's a great Zeta because he taunts even more, if that's even possible. You know what I mean? Like, he's taunting even more than normal. So, really, really good Zetas if you're trying to complete the team. Now, if you're a newer player and you've got like 2 Zetas that you've been hoarding and you don't hardly have Zetas on characters, you got like 10 of them and you're trying to figure out who next to do, you might want to focus more on leaders or unique players that affect the entire team, like maybe Chewie affects the entire team kind of thing. So, or at least he affects multiple people on a team. So characters that have an effect over an entire team or a group of people are going to be more effective for the newer players. For example, my Scissorman account, I don't do every Zeta on every team. I just do like a lead, or I do like a double lead Zeta, and then I kind of leave the rest of the team Zeta list and move to another team. And that's just simply because I don't have enough Zetas to max all these teams out. But would I go back and finish those teams eventually with those Zetas? Of course. Those are solid Zetas once you've got the team leveled up.
Okay. Next question for Ranger.
Oh.
And question is from Darsion 1972. He says, with gas, is the Rex Zeta still worth it?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. I mean, all those Zetas, I mean, that team takes 9 Zetas in all if you're running Ahsoka, right? So, again, Warrior just made a great point about, like, do you need to have it? No. Do you want to have it? Yes. Because it's accumulation effect, right? A lot of these Zetas, like, I just put the 4th one on General Anakin. I'm like, I'm doing such a good job. I'm like, oh, crap. I still need to do the one on Echo. Do I need the Zeta on Echo? No. But does it make the team better? Yeah. It's just small little things that it does with these Zetas that just make the team that much better. So for whether you're running the clones like Shock T or a Rex lead or, however you're running them and where you're running them. So especially if you have gas, having every little bit matters, right? It's these little small things that they do, like, that just makes the team better. And you can get away with not having it on there. You can get away with not having 5 Zetas, and the team still works, especially like, say you have gas, but then it's not as good as with those Zetas because they do those small little things like health and protection back, or when 5s dies, the rest of the team comes back with extra buffs, and that's huge for someone like Echo, who will hit like a freaking monster if you take out 5, or you take out someone in 5 sacrifices himself. You've seen it in GAC when someone's done that, and I'm facing a team with my gas, and all of a sudden Echo is like one-shotting people because his damage just goes up. 2% stacking offense doesn't seem like a lot, but it makes a difference as the fight goes along. Every time an enemy gets a buff, just all these little Zetas that are on the team. So yeah, if you're gonna do, for me, this is how I play it. When I'm doing a team, I go all in. It's plain and simple. So I just did the 4 on gas. I have the 1 on Rex. I have the 1 for 5s, but I'm about to go back in and do 5s in Rex. And that includes Ahsoka Zeta. They're just these little things that you don't need them, like Warrior said it, but man, they do make a big difference in your team. Like, the example he gave with B1 in the Grievous team, kind of nice to have extra B1s. You don't have to have it, but if you can get it, then you should do it, and you should do that for every team. And I think the thing that some players, and it's hard not to do it, right? I think when you first start out, you're trying to get, like, where you said, you're trying to get the leaders and some of those key characters, right? But as you progress through your count and you've got a lot of those main ones done, you want to go back in and get, like, focus on a team and just get it all done. Because, like with the Padme team, the Anakin Zeta is great because he calls and assists, brings Padme. When she does a basic, she's giving that extra protection out, right? These little things that make the team just more efficient and with their synergy. So if you're newer, go for the big stuff with the big characters. But as you progress and you get longer in your count, really start focusing on a team. And this applies to any team. Get those other Zetas done, and you'll see good positive results from it.
Okay. Warrior, on a similar question then for you from SithLore72, he said, what relic level should the Padme and Separatist teams be for the gas event? I'm trying to get ready for when the event returns.
A good.
Sorry, I'm having PTSD.
Yeah. They suggested Relic Tier 3, and that's what I suggest, Relic Tier 3. If you have a couple characters only Gear 12, but you have a Relic Tier 7 character with them, like, you can have that. You can kind of have a couple characters less and a couple characters more, but the average of the power needs to probably be right around Relic Tier 3. And this is the first event in history where they actually require characters actually being in Relic Tier power. And it's not going to make things much easier either, even being at those Relic tiers. I've noticed people struggling just as hard as people without the Relic tiers. So it's one of those things where when you play, RNG is a thing, and sometimes it just works in a way that you, like, for example, my brother played that event. He did not get gas, unfortunately. He got heartburn, but so he he played it over and over and over, and he spent the duration of the event. The ship's a battle he said he did the first time he tried it wasn't a problem. The second event was the light side, where he had to take in his light side team with General Kenobi and Padme and all those and do that light side portion. He spent the rest of the event doing it, and he couldn't kill more than 2 characters. He knew how to do it. He knew how to play. He's watched every video. He talked to me about it. I like, modding strategy. He had everything modded right. He had his characters at Relic Tier 1, some of them at Relic Tier 2. He just played it over and over and over, and it was within 30 minutes of the thing ending that he beat that first level, and he won with all 5 characters standing, almost full health and protection. What? You know what I mean? But he played it like 120 times over a 2-day period of time, and finally he was able to beat that level. And not only that, but it was good RNG, and so he had all of he 3-starred it. He didn't even 1-star, he 3-starred it, and then he went to the next level, and of course he didn't have enough time to physically play that next tier, and so he was pissed because he wasn't given enough time. The events normally are 7 days. These epic confrontations are only 3, and normally when you wake up, you only have 2.5 days left, because they start these stupid things at midnight. So he had 2.5 days, and he works for a living, so that's just kind of the downside. Unfortunately, he didn't get them. And I tell you, my brother went whaley when Scion came into the game last spring. That was the first time he went from being completely free to play to being a little bit of a whale, and he's done spending because there's no benefit. He now can wait for 3 months and get his gas, even though he spent to get gas this time. And he has all the characters. He has all the relic tiers that are sufficient or should be sufficient. He has all the Zetas. He has all of the everything. He spent money to gear some of the characters up and put some relics on. And he proved that he had the right stuff because he beat that tier, but he wasn't given enough time, and so he wasn't rewarded for the spending that he did. So he's done. He's done. He's on the fence of quitting, sadly. But I told him, just quit spending, and it will feel better. It'll feel better. You won't have such a problem anymore. It's the thing is, when you put money into it, then you feel bad about it when throwing money towards it doesn't work. So my solution is, if that's not working, just don't throw money at it anymore, and it will feel better. Because if you don't get it, you're like, well, I didn't spend any money, and they made it for spenders. So, okay, good. Because there's a bunch of spenders spending money and not getting it. So it just is what it is. I can't tell you how many Team Instinct people didn't get gas the first time around, and they were like, we're like the Whaley Krakens, and we can't even do it. What's up? So it's, number of people in Ma, same thing. So it's rough how they built the events now.
Okay, then Ranger, next question for you from Chewy. Says, what do y'all think the December updates or quality of life will be to ease the gear grind for us?
Well, not much. They talked about, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Finn, that in the Q&A that they're looking to add some events to get us more gear, but that's pretty much their plan of attack. There was nothing mentioned about increasing maybe some of the challenges or other things like that to increase some of the gear. Some of the things, you get Corbantes during the week, but one of the bigger things that, you run into is like stun cuffs and stun guns. Whereas, right, it is easier to get than it was back in the day, but it's still crazy the amount of stuff that you need. They've done some stuff for chirotecs, with you complete your dailies, you get 3. They are doing stuff with TW now and other things to reward you with the boxes, with chirotecs as being a part of that. But I don't know what they're going to do quality of life for gear. The gear crunch is just what it is. They go very small in increments when they do something, right? Very few changes and stuff like that. So I wouldn't have your hopes up too much. There'll be a small little increase with these things that'll help with the long term, with characters getting gear and stuff. But it's still you having to participate, right, and just hope RNG goes your way. The hat raid sucks. I can't stand the hat raid because the loot is always poo poo. Really, and then we sim the pit raid, and it's feast or famine. Sometimes you're like, oh my god, I'm so happy, and then other times I didn't get a damn thing. This sucks. Really, the big bang that you make your gear in is like the heroic Sith, and even sometimes you get the heroic Sith as long as, but it's top 10. So if you're not getting top 10, then it's a crapshoot. But if you are top 10, even then sometimes it's still pretty solid. You may get a couple pieces, you're like, well, that sucks, but the other pieces will be really good, and you're like, okay, I can take that. So it's a little bit of that RNG factor in there, but if you do it enough over time, those will reward you for the gear. But quality of life, I don't think they're going to really touch gear that much. They have made increases, but if they do anything, it'll be a small little increment, and it's the gear grind is still going to be what the gear grind is. It's a form of control that they're very hesitant to increase, and monetarily, we're speaking about this too, to make a lot of profits probably from people buying stuff for gear and gear packs and things of that nature. So I wouldn't get your hopes up too much for a significant increase in QOL for the gear.
Yeah, but a mod cap increase would be nice for.
No, yeah. Well, okay. Let's not bring that up. All right, man. Let's not burn that old chestnut.
They did mention they were going to fix it, and they did mention a couple of ways they were going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The first was they were going to readdress some of the lower level, gear levels and things like that, and they're going to put, or at least they said they're looking at doing this, an extra level on the challenges.
Sure.
So they're going to take their level of challenges and give a piece of gear or two extra in those challenges. So that would be good to add new relevant stuff to those challenges, because those challenges haven't been updated since the launch of the game, basically, with the exception of Hat. When Hat came out, they kind of made a couple small tweaks, but aside from that, and what's funny is everyone complained about Mark IV Carbontes because everybody had like a plethora of those, and they got rid of them out of the Hat and stuff, so like you can't really get those anymore. And now I have like none. Those are as hard to get as the Mark III Carbontes for me, in my Scissorman account. So it's a new gear crunch I never had on my old account, but I have on my new account, because they removed it from challenges. So I don't think removing anything's ever a good idea. I think adding more is always a good idea. So taking characters, gear, even if you have 10 million, and now even more than ever, leave it in. Because even for you, if you've got Mark IV Carbontes, you're like, I don't need 40 Mark IV Carbontes. Yeah, you do, because you can convert it for relics. Like, we need everything. Give us all of it. Don't take anything. Always add, never remove. That's the rule of thumb for any game. Give more, don't take out. And because they created unique, weird gear crunches for me that I don't have on my main account. And I was like, that's weird. How come I don't have Mark IVs? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. They took those away. So anyway, there's a few of those little tweaks. I was like, what? But they need to add more like that. One of their solutions, and you'll see this for gear crunch, is the further the in-game content, the closer we get to the newest material, is always the best reward. You'll look at like Geonosis Territory Battle, last thing to be released. A payout on that is better than like 10 raids for what you get. Why? Because it's the newest and greatest. So if you're not in a guild that's doing, even trying or attempting that in-game stuff, if you have a roster that supports that, I would definitely go to a guild that is supportive of that, because that's where the greatest give is for the gear crunch alleviation. And the same thing with like the raids. If you're in the top 10, especially Sith raid, it gets significantly better than if you're not. So I don't know, they need to do something, because they need and want the newer players to catch up, sort of, or feel like they have hope in catching up, so they can, compete. But I can say, if you're new and you get that crunch alleviation and you do speed up progress and you skyrocket in gearing people, it may feel good for a minute, but if you gear the wrong people, you'll have the same problem that everybody on the road has, which is too much GP. So, no matter how much they do. And like you said, I don't think they're going to give a ton more gear no matter what, even if they do challenge updates and things. They're still going to keep that gear crunch alive and well.
Okay. Warrior, next question to you from Hellenix. It's actually two parts. So one I'll give to you, Warrior, and the other one I'll give to Ranger. So premise for both of them. Premise for both of them. He hasn't, Hellenix says, I haven't Gear 13'd or Relic a single tune yet. I'm a 4.7 million GP day one player. I have no idea what Cantina energy nodes to farm for Relic materials. What nodes should I be farming to prepare? for you, Warrior?
So, you just go into a character and you figure out which character you want, and it will show you the relic material that you need for that character, and you just farm that relic material. There's like a level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and
He
6
hasn't gear 13 though. Any characters?
Oh, well, so first off, you don't need the relic material yet. You need to finish off the a character.
Yeah, that's a different ballgame.
The Gear 13 finishers are a mess to make because, I mean, while basically all of it's farmable, or you can get it in like guild store currency or shard shop currency, or, you know, there's a plethora of ways of getting that material. It still takes a while. On my Scissorman account, I focused on relicking Yoda, and it took almost 3 weeks to get him to relics, to get that Gear 13 finished off. That was 3 weeks focused on one character. And that was, you know, when I had all the opportunity in the world. So you gotta come up with a sound strategy of who you feel like deserves the relic level the most, especially for your. And this is what you got to watch out for. You're 4.7. You're almost 5.0. You know what I mean? Like when you hit 5.0 and above, you're going to start to see players that are different than you. You're going to start to see entire rosters where the top 80 are relic, you know, and you just happen to have maybe more Zetas than them because they're a little bit newer than you, but they've gone in on relics and you haven't. Over 5.0, and you're going to start to see another world. I think people that watched my last live stream got a glimpse into that because a lot of them were like mind boggled. They're like, I can't believe that every team you have to fight is relic. All of it's relic, and most of it's relic 3, and some of it's 5, and there are some teams that are full out all 7. They're like, that's nuts. And it's like, yeah, that's just life at the 5.0 level. Like anything over 5, when you hit 6, it's like even more insane. So, you know, I think you need to come up with a sound strategy of what teams you like the most, and then figure out which characters you want to take to Gear 13, and then those characters. I would suggest like one character from each team. And this is why, you know, like on my Scissorman account, I have a Bosk that's Gear 12. Everybody else is like Gear 9, but that's a super defensive team because Bosk is double Zeta Gear 12. He's like literally the cornerstone for that team. And then everybody else survives until payout, and they get crazy after payout. And I've seen many defenses on that. So, but it's because I have one character, really hyper focused, double Zeta Gear 12, great mods, 6E, you know, all the works. And then everybody else is like decent, okay mods with like Gear 9 or 10. You know, and just okay. So Relic is something similar. You want to not fluff your roster unnecessarily by taking them all that way, plus it's difficult. Find one character you feel like is going to benefit the team the most, you know, like Kylo Ren Unmasked or Fox, you know, and as a clue, the damage dealer of the team is probably the person you want to Relic, because the damage dealers, once you get them into relics, are again another world. If you've got a Night Sister team, take that spirit to relic tier 5. Watch what happens, y'all. Your defenses will skyrocket just because of one character. She'll be literally one-shotting characters, and they're like, oh, frack, I thought, you know, this would work as a counter, and they're like, all the counters that work will stop working because of one attacker doing way more damage than they're expecting. You know what I mean? So just make sure that once you do relics, you remod that specific character with like the absolute best mods that they need that you can have available. Remember, at relics, percentage is always 1,000 times better than anything flat stats, because the percentages are so high at relics that even the crappy mods, the percentages are going to be better than the flat stats. So keep that in mind, and you'd be surprised at, you know, how big a punch. Tanks are also good. So like if you happen to have a team where, like, let's say First Order and they're all like Gear 8, 9, and 10, but you have Crew, take Crew to Gear 13. Like it'll make him invincible basically for the level at which you're playing, and then people will be able to maybe kill the rest of the team, but they'll leave him behind and have to clean him up, and that's a good thing for defense, right?
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, so when you're working towards the relics, the Cantina energy nodes that have those relic materials that you're going to need are on 8C, F, and G. C gives you that first one that you're going to need for all the relic ones that hopefully you'll start pushing for. So C is probably the one you probably want to focus on the most, with F being the next. So, and Warrior's response works perfectly to Helenix's next question for you, Ranger.
Oh, goody.
So he wants to know which squad he should relic first: Padme, Sith Empire, or Grievous plus droids.
The one you're using it for arena. That's as simple as it is. The first team that I reliced was the Sith Empire team. Why? Because I was using it in an arena, and I needed to get the most bang for my buck. I mean, you have to think your arena team is the team you need to where you get the most crystals, that income that is so vitally important in this game. So whatever those three that you are using for your arena team, make sure you do those. And, like for the Sith Empire team, the three main characters for me that I did was Darth Revan, Darth Bastila, and Malak. I would say Basti, and especially Malak. Malak would be the first one, and then Basti, third being Revan. I eventually did Sith Marauder 2 because dude hits like a freaking monster truck hitting you for 90 million miles an hour. But if you're going to do Padme, to do General Anakin first, or not General Anakin, Jedi Anakin first, right? Especially getting him to 7. Him and Grievous are the two best relics with the Relic 7. So, I mean, whichever those teams you're doing, invest in those characters for relics, because that's going to make the difference in your climbing arena. So that's where you need to start with. And then after that, once you get those characters relics, like I still haven't relic HK-47, but I mean, he hits fine without it, so I'm not worried about it. But yeah, arena. There you go.
Okay. I can do the next question here. Dash Scion 1972 says, when does the new Territory War boxes start for the higher GP guilds? Is it this Territory War or the next one? It is in the current Territory War. So if you go into your Territory War and you click on the rewards, you'll see that they have now added the 180 division, the 200 million division, and the 225 million. And you can look at the boxes and compare what the first place and second place boxes are for each of them. So you can look into there and see how many get twos you get, how many get ones you get, all of that stuff. You guys can look. So definitely go look in that if you guys want to see the comparison of rewards. So they didn't really post what the rewards were. So take a second to look at that if your guild is trying to make decisions. Next question, Warrior, from Jeremy Bowie. I hope I'm saying that last name right. So he says, who is the better rebel team to gear and use? Rogue One versus Phoenix, excluding CLS, R2, 3PO, kind of the regular rebels.
Wow, that's a tough one, because those two teams are, in my opinion, kind of on the same level. And the problem is they both have ships, and their ships are equally efficient. Mm-hmm. So that's just, this is tough. I would say both, because they're good.
Whale harder.
I know, whale
what
harder.
A whale wants,
the
what a whale needs.
For territory battles, they're required. Phoenix is required for special missions. Rogue One's required for special missions. Rogue One ships, Biston and Cassian. Cassian is arguably the most important reinforcement for the current / previous meta, for the reinforced call to assist to kill their Millennium their Millennium Falcon. But then you've got Phoenix. They're like literally first game characters that you need. You don't need Rogue One right away. You need Phoenix right away. Phoenix ships, the Ghost and the Phantom are amazing ships, especially at high levels. They're just crazy. And honestly, they're equally as good for different reasons, but for the similar reasons as well. And if you had them fight each other, Rogue One wins. So there's a lot more control with Rogue One because of Cassian's debuff bomb that he applies. He throws that debuff bomb, and then he can spread those buffs to another person. You can really easily stun lock the team. There's more stunners on that team than there are with the other team, so you can stun lock the team. I've used it as a counter to kill Phoenix teams. You just take in your Rogue One and clean them up. You stun lock the team, and then you just start taking the characters out. So if you were going to go head to head, Rogue One's better in that sense. But they're equally as good for different reasons, and then also for the same reasons they're equally as good. So that's an interesting and kind of funny question, and I didn't really give a very good answer. So
I think you did. It's kind of which is your preference, right? So, and then also which Rogue One, to your point. Because if you're focusing on the regular Rogue One, then it might just be Jin, Cassian, K2, Chirrut Bays. You might not even work on Biston, and you might miss out on that ship too. And same thing with Phoenix, right? There's 6 Phoenix, but all 6 of them are pilots, but you only need 5 for a team. So it all kind of depends on your preference and what you're using for ships. So I think you did give a good answer, Warrior. It's a kind of a difficult question there. All right, Ranger. Next question for you from Browse Bear. And question is, do you believe we will still see, or will we see in the future, new quote-unquote filler tunes, which are not endgame stuff, maybe like Tuskens? The introduction of Range Trooper was so much fun.
It's hard to say. I mean, define filler tune, right? I mean,
not endgame meta changes.
Right, but then which...
Like Range Trooper was.
Range Trooper was, but then which characters will meet that criteria for you? Again, a little subjective of what you think that is. Like, we've got ARC Trooper coming out. Would you consider him a filler tune? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. We'll see more of this with Episode 9. You have your main characters that come out, right? With like your Rey, your Finn, your Poe, your Kylo, right? What are the other characters that they are going to introduce? Are they going to do something like which I think would be cool, would be like the Knights of Ren? What level will they make those characters? How good will they be? I mean, it would be cool if they did. I know what to expect from Episode 9, but after Episode 9, it's totally up in the air of which way they're going to go next. Will they introduce a different Stormtrooper to add to the Imperial lineup? Will they introduce some kind of Rebel that we can use in the Rebel lineup? I don't know. Who's to say that after Episode 9 they go visit Endor and we start getting versions of the characters and things from, like, we get a Scout Trooper, from Endor. He could be one of those filler tunes. So I don't really know the direction they're going to go. We'll get an idea a little bit with Episode 9, and then we're going to have to kind of wait and see after that on which route of the Star Wars universe they want to focus in on. Because we've had kind of, this year we've had the end of their content from the Old Republic and them getting into the content of the Clone Wars, right? So we've got all this new Clone Wars content with the territory battles and then all the characters that they've introduced from that, rework, things of that nature. So I don't know. I can't give you a timeline. I think it'd be kind of cool, but the thing that the other thing that too is with the power creep. It makes it a little hard because you're trying to balance a character that's not better than the meta, but that is still viable with a team that you currently have, and how effective and what it adds to the team. Plus, we're going to get, I'm hoping, new teams of characters that we can focus on. I mean, if they brought in the Knights of Ren that you could use with Kylo Ren, I think that would be pimp as hell. So we'll just have to wait and see. I think they will do it. I just can't give you an idea of like which faction and who they're going to bring in and what they're going to focus in on past Episode 9. And I don't know what filler tunes they'll bring in for that one. I mean, we've had in the past characters from there that were done, like same thing with Rogue One, but we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. Next question for Warrior from Chewy. He says, do you think we'll be getting a rework for Mace soon? And what marquees do you think will be released before the end of the year?
So I know that they've already said they want Kai Monday or whatever, how you say his name, that he's coming in. I think he's going to be the reward, kind of like Watt Tombor was. And side note, I saw Watt when I was watching all the Star Wars again. I'd never seen him actually in the shows. And there's only one scene where he's in it, and it's Episode 3 where the Separatists are sitting around.
Oh, he's in more.
But anyway, it was cool to kind of see him in the game. It's funny. I love watching it over and over and like trying to see what they've incorporated into the game in like abilities. for characters. So it's, you know, they do a good job of that. That's why we love our game. You know, that's why we play it. It's the people in the Star Wars universe that we love. So that's cool. But what was the question? I'm totally looking out the window and dazing off.
Well, do you think we'll see a rework for Mace soon, and what marquees do you think will be released before the end of the year?
Yeah, so I think they are going to sprinkle in some marquees because it's been a while since they've done them. They are trying anyway to balance those different style of events out, and so I think we're going to see some more marquees. I think we're going to get you know, Monday over in as the giveaway character for that. I think we'll see probably a touch up or two of you know, I think Mace will get a touch up. I don't think he's going to get like a full rework, but I think they're going to, you know, add to his existing kit just a little bit, just to make him go from being like not really usable to okay, you've geared him up, you can use him now in a secondary team. So I think that'll be cool. Pretty sure they'll do a touch up on him anyway, because I mean, he's probably one of the greatest characters in the game that sucks, you know. And they've done a good job of going back to all the sucky characters and making them good for those who should be good. Like, we're not talking about Cup, you know, Cup is Cup. It's a filler character, but for any of those like named characters, you know, it should they should be good in the game, like solid. Doesn't have to be like meta defining, but definitely should be a team that could be used in Territory Wars or Grand Arena. And then for how many you know, marquee or which marquee, I don't know, but I do know that they plan on sprinkling them in. One thing I noticed in the thing that they mentioned was someone asked them in this, which I thought was interesting, and I hope they do it, because other games do this. Someone said, are you ever thinking about changing how events release, like leaving them perpetually open until someone completes them, and when they complete them, it disappears, but always in their event tab? And they said, we're looking into that. Like, we thought that's a great idea, and that's something that we've been considering. It's like, really? So you wouldn't have to actually wait for a specific character. You would just see all the events in there, and you would build a team for that event. And when the team was ready, you could do the event and get the character. That's a way to speed progression for anyone who's new. Because for me, I'm like ready for Darth Revan, but I have to wait till December. So for me, I think that's a great idea. I think, you know, if you don't have the characters, you can't do the event. So who cares? It'll sit in your events tab as an available event, and you just won't be able to participate. As soon as you do it, it disappears, right? So I don't see there being any harm, any foul. If someone wants to crack it out and get all the characters, great, let them crack it out. Their GP is going to skyrocket, and they can fight those higher people. It's actually a disservice to new people in that sense, because they'll have crappy mods but great characters, and so they won't be able to compete with those people they just, you know, raise their GP to match. So you have to be careful on that. But I don't see there being a reason why events need a window, with the exception of maybe the last 2 or last 3 events. I could see them holding a timeout, and once something comes back at the 3rd time, it just goes perma into the events tab. I think that, you know, if they want to create kind of that whale specific moment of time where it's not available for the first 3 or 6 months, then whatever. And then after that, drop it into your events tab and leave it in the events tab permanently for all the new players to do whenever they can, you know, do it. And what I think is cool about that is it would give us younger players an opportunity to do an event at under geared levels and see if it's enough. And if it's not, we'll just go back to the grinding board, you know, and start grinding more characters and gear and things, and keep going back until we've geared it enough. But the problem is we gear, and sometimes we over gear, and then the event comes back and we did too much gear, or we under gear and then the event runs out before we can get the gear up in time. So that window kind of sucks. So to see that window disappear for all of the older events, I think is actually a good quality of life thing. Like I said, if they're bringing out brand new events like Legendary or whatever, and they want to have a exclusive 6-month window where it comes and goes, that's fine. But once it's been out multiple times and the majority of people have it, just leave it in the events tab. I think is a great idea.
Okay. Yeah. That was one of the good responses, I think, from their Q&A. I thought, yeah, that's a good thing to bring up again, because we talked about it, but I'd forgotten about that now that they were doing that. So, okay. Ranger, next question to you from who? Question mark. Oh. Says, I have been working on Grievous droid separatist team. I got Grievous to Relic 5. I have B1 to Relic 3. How much farther do I need to relic those two? How far do I need to take the rest of the separatist droids?
Well, Grievous you want to take to 7, right? He's really amazing at 5, but 7 really makes it really amps him up. I think B1's fine where he has it Relic 3. The one character, I mean, Magna Guard is Magna Guard. I mean, B2 a little bit of a boost. I mean, Jordica's damage will go up. So if I was going to go in order, it would definitely be Grievous. B1's fine where he's at. I would take Jordica up next. His call and assist, especially once you get the Zeta going, is really nice. B2 just it's not going to really get up his damage. He's just there more for his removal of debuffs, things of that nature. But he's not going to be the damage. I always think like, you know, certain characters that will define the team. So if I was going to do another one, Jordica, that call and assist, and then when he gets ramped up, he can one-shot characters, and it's really amazing. So even at Gear 12, I'm amazed at the damage he does, and he's one of the characters. He's probably the next droid that I'm going to take up to Relic, because my Grievous and B1 are already Relic as well already. And so I was kind of thinking about it, like, who would I take next for the droids or somebody like that. And that's if you're not going to put somebody like a Newt Gunray or Watt on the team. You're going to use them as a separate team for separatists. That's what I did. But I would say Jordica. Jordica's really, really nice. I was going back and looking at his Relic, and with his damage and his big hit, pretty damn good. He's a damn fine character, and that would be the third one I would do.
Does he end up staying on a droid separatist team though? That's the problem. I could.
Some people don't like him. Yeah, some people don't like him on there. I do. I think he is a great character on that team. But it's a matter of who you want to use. Like I'm just saying, if you just went just pure droids, right? That you take Newt and Watt and Count Dooku and Jango, and you run them in like a separatist. And I've seen that on the board now in GAC, where they're using Watt with Jango and Dooku and stuff. But if you are putting, like, say someone like Watt or Newt on the team and taking Jordica out, then obviously you want to relic them, right? Or get them higher gear. So it just depends on which team you're running. But if I'm going pure droids, and I'm going to run them, like, say, on the defense team or something like that, in the back line or front line or whatever you're doing for GAC and stuff, I would say Jordica. But yeah, those other characters you're putting in, that changes the ball game. But just as a purely droid team, and you just want to get the droids up, I would say Jordica would be the third one that I would do. He's really badass, and he does a ton of damage, especially with that call and assist. It's underrated. It really is.
And that brings up an interesting question. So Warrior, I don't know if you want to kind of chime in on there. So in the Grievous team, in the 5th slot, would you prefer Jordica or Newt? And if you prefer Jordica to kind of keep it for droids, and this is for the purposes of like GAC and territory wars where you don't overlap characters, where would you put Newt afterwards? Because we've had that question come up a few times in different streams. Didn't have it asked directly here, but I'll throw it to you because it kind of went to that topic.
Yeah, I put Newt and Droidica actually together on the Separatist team.
Makes sense.
Oh, so what is your droid Separatist team then?
Let me go look really quick so I don't lie. Let me see what I got. I'm headed there now. So my team for defense is General Grievous with Watt, B1, B2, and Magna Guard. That team is stupid because Watt brings all of them back to life.
Yeah.
And Magna Guard just keeps taunting. And if you kill Magna Guard, if you're lucky enough to finally kill him from his perpetual taunt, or kill B2 because he's constantly calling B1 to assist, and the two of them are doing mad damage against you, Watt just brings him back to life once you kill him. And if you try and target Watt, B1 and B2 destroy you. And if you try to kill Watt, Magna Guard's taunting. It's a mess. So at my level, everyone one-shots it, so it's like, oh, that team sucks, but it's good. Trust me, I fought it, and it's terrible. It's terrifying. You barely finally kill someone, and then Watt's like, hello, bringing them back to life. You're like, no, because General Grievous is ramped up by then, and you're like, son of a gun. So that's the team I think for defense is General Grievous, Watt, B1, B2, and Magna. That's the best I've fought, personally, that I have faced. It obviously gets one shot for me, but then Newt as the leader with a Separatist team, and so I use Newt and Jango Fett and Count Dooku and Droidica, and then my +1, you could do any +1, but since they're all Separatists and they get stealth because of Count Dooku, I like to leave a non-Separatist, so I used L3 in there because L3 just is super annoying, and runs back and forth, and she actually wastes time on the timer. You can actually time out on a team versus an L3 just because of the animations. So it's nice having that in there. Again, this team I have faced is a nightmare to beat, but mine isn't like all relics out, so it gets one shot. Everything of mine gets one shot. I'm like, either they're cheating or they have everything relic out. Then you look and it's like, oh, every offensive character they have is relic. Okay, that's why they're knocking out my relic tier 1 characters. So it just is what it is. So I don't have as much fun on my warrior account because I still have a ton of yellow, aka gear 12, on offense and defense. So when I go into a grand arena and I have to face 8 teams that are all relic tier 3, 5, or 7, it's less fun when you have to use a gear 12 team to kill a gear 13 team. It's difficult. And I have, like I said, I have a fluffy roster because they said for territory battles you need biggest roster possible so you can contribute points to the team. And so I'm now gear 12 Cup and all the other stupid characters, and I'm facing people that I'm looking at their bottom roster and the bottom 3 rows are all purple still, and I'm like, wow, where's all their GP coming from? And you roll up and it's like, 15 relic tier 7 characters. That's where their GP's coming from. It's like, It's just a different world. So anyway, it's fun, I suppose, a little, but I have more fun with Scissor Man. But those are the teams. And trust me, I've gone against both those teams on defense, and both of them were hell for me as a normal player playing against those teams. So if you build them and put them on defense, I guarantee if the other person, doesn't have you out relic, they are going to lose or going to take multiple attempts to beat those teams.
Okay. Next question then to you, Warrior, from Varth Dater. Varth Dater. And the question is, what is the best use in GAC for a 5-star Gear 11 gas and 501st?
Well, if you watch my last live stream, I'm on my main account, and I do a battle with gas in it as I put him under Padme. If you watch the stream, and the reason why he's good under a team like that is because he gets all the buffs from her because of Galactic Republic tag, so he works well underneath a lead like that, and he's another character to go under, like Padme, because you're pulling a bunch of like Galactic Republic for like the 500 burst, like losing Anakin, you're like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? Well, he's just another great filler you can stick under Padme, and he has multiple attacks. He does solid damage. He's tanky, so even though he's not in the lead in being a tank, he's very tanky, and he does an AoE daze, which is a solid debuff, and he does armor shred, which is a super useful buff or debuff. It's a super useful debuff. And so for me, on my last live stream, I showcased it. I took Padme team and I put him under her, and you can watch that. You can watch the stream and see how it went. It went really well with him, just as somebody to be on another team. I don't use him as a lead yet because his lead's not sufficiently good at 5-star, 6-star, Gear 11. But under someone else, he works just as well as any other Gear 12 character.
Yeah, for me, I have been using him for offense. Even without the Force Zeta, I didn't have the Force Zeta for this last round of GAC. I always use them because a lot of people were putting Jedi Revan against me on defense. So I was just curious to see how it would work, right? And it wrecks the crap out of Jedi Revan. I had a little bit of bad RNG in the last one, but the couple before that, you can't. His mark is ineffective because you can't take them below 100% health. And so they're not focusing on Anakin, and he's just sitting there going, okay, you're not going to focus on me? Enjoy the wreckage. And so it was a great counter. I was just trying to see ways to do it. Now that I've got him decked out and stuff, I like him more in offense if you are going to run him as lead with the clones and stuff because you can control it, right? But there is places for him. He's really, really good. I was shocked. I was just like, well, let's see how this will go. I had an idea about it, but when I did it, I was like, oh, that's stupid. they keep beating on Rex and they can't kill him, and my Anakin's just running around like, doop 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 doop. I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill you. So, but yeah, Padme, you can use them there. You can go Shock T with. I mean, I've seen a lot of different variations with it.
Hey, how come no one's talking about the fact that, whenever something's like egregious in the game, that it takes them forever to fix? But like Malik, they pull it instantly, right? The event, they pull it instantly down when it's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that they like took to heart and like fixed quickly was Anakin's picture. They put it back.
Yeah, that was in the.
Yeah. What the heck?
Yeah.
That's like Malik level importance to them. That's crazy. Someone in the art team was butthurt and like.
That's for me. I said he looked like a Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah, it's hilarious though that they chose that one quality of life thing to like fix. They're like, crap, let's get rid of the new artwork. Let's go back to the old artwork.
Well, I think on the gas it's the same, but did they just change it was just Jedi Knight Anakin that they changed back to, right?
Yeah, Jedi Knight Anakin. He had kind of they gave him kind of a newer younger face.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it was a de-evolution, so they, and so they just gave it back to him, put him back to his old look. So that's good.
All right.
Okay. Next question is for you, Ranger. And the question is, what is the best way to mod Snips? I have her with speed and crit chance. And at what speed should I have her with?
I don't go fast to Snips. She's purely damage. I think I still got crit damage and crit chance on her. I'd like to switch that over to offense. I don't have her open right now, but I originally went crit chance and crit damage just because when she does her big hits and stuff like that. But now that I've got her relicked, I am of the mindset that as I get characters relicked, keep a crit chance on her is fine, a crit chance set, but I'm kind of thinking about maybe changing it, offense, because she's going to get a lot of calls and assists and stuff with the teams that she's on. So I want her hitting as hard as possible. It's not so much about speed for me, it's about that damage output. And she can hit really freaking hard. It's stupid how hard she hits.
It also depends on who you're running her with.
That's true, right? But that's kind of my focus. But I mean, I'm trying to think of a scenario where you would want her really fast, because I'm thinking like, the gas team, the two characters. I mean, Rex, I want super fast. I want Rex doing his thing immediately, right? You want him to get that turn meter and stuff, even if you're running him under General Anakin. I am running speed on Anakin and protection because I want him going as many turns as possible. But I think I was you that said, I think when we first were looking at him about putting, when he gets above, we can finally get him, good God, to be able to be relic and stuff, getting him to be like more offense because of how much damage he can put out. So, because I mean, like under the Padme team, you're not putting speed on her. What kind of team were you thinking of where you would put speed or something on her? Or
well, so if you've got her under Padme, of course, she's got all about that, giving everybody an extra 50% health and and durability, and then they do courage as damage. Right. So you don't even need them damage dealers. You just need them to survive, and then courage will do its job.
Right.
So it's all about the health and that kind of thing. So you're running under Padme, it's all about health and durability, and speed is important because you want that team to kind of get going, because it does take a minute to kind of build up. Especially Padme. But if you're going under like the 501st under gas, then yeah, you've got to switch that. You need her to be. That's the one Achilles heel, is she's slow. And if you've got her under gas, you got to make her fast, because she'll never take a turn, and she'll be the one that just kind of sits there, maybe takes one turn, and then dies. The reason why she seems so fast under Padme is because she gets so many bonus turns. And so you're like seeing her go all the time and dispel all the time. That's because of her Zeta and because of like the team and stuff. But when you put her under the new General Anakin, which a lot of people can't do that yet, but just keep this in mind for the next time around, she doesn't take that many turns at all. She just sits there. And I know because I fight this team every day, and she's always just kind of sitting there until she dies. So if he would just crank her speed up a little bit more, I mean, he's got her built for like damage, and that's great, but she only takes like one turn before she's dead,
right?
Which is just a shame. So speed on that particular team I could see as a significant value because she is a turd when it comes to speed. Look at her base speed, and it's really, really, really bad. She's at 125 base speed, and that's if you have her all the way to Relic Tier 13. Relic Tier 13, and she's only 125 speed. The average speed for a tune is 133. So she's like 11 slower than, like 10 slower than an average. So.
All right.
Yeah, but she gains the extra 50 and everything, right? With Anakin, so that's the nice part.
Yeah, but she's still slow.
Yeah. It helps to make it up just a little bit that she gets that 50, but it doesn't count into the mod calculation, so that doesn't help. So you still lose out on a bunch. But yeah. Okay. Let's see. Next question for you, Warrior, from What Else 73. He says, for an Imperial Troopers team of Veers, Stark, Snow, Shore, and Range Trooper, which would you take to Gear 13 first if you could?
Let me see. I'm going to look at mine really quick because I kind of have a little plan for mine as well. So hold on one second while I pull them up.
I'm kind of interested too because I was thinking of doing Stark just to get that extra speed.
Yeah. So the first person I took up was Colonel Stark.
Okay.
And I took him to Tier 1 because I had him at Gear 13 because there's that extra speed, right? So that finisher piece gives you, I think 8 extra speed. So that's why I did that, was to get as much speed out of that bad boy as possible, even if his mods aren't as perfect as possible. The second one I took up to the Relic tier was Range Trooper, because Range Trooper is, on my Scissorman account, the friggin' linchpin to that team. Like, you don't need a tank anymore. Having him is a tank, because of the retribution and the protection up. It makes the whole team durable and, way more viable than, when you had I just don't use a tank anymore. I use, Veers and Range Trooper and Death Trooper and Stark and Snow Trooper. And I never used to be able to use. Yeah, and I never get to use Snow Trooper in the past because I always had Shore Trooper in there. So now I don't have to use Shore Trooper at all. But Range Trooper is my second Relic 13, or Tier 13, Gear 13, whatever. And then he's Relic Tier 2, and I'm taking him to Relic Tier 5. And then after I get him to Relic Tier 5, then I'm probably going to move to Snow Trooper and do him to Relic Tier 5. And the reason is Veers is good, but Veers is there to transform that team with the buffs and stuff. Death Trooper, he's got the death mark and the daze. That's like really his niche, but he doesn't do, he does good damage, but it's nothing compared to what Range and Snow do. So if you can get Range and Snow, your damage dealer's up, and then your speed monster of Stark up. Those are the 3 that I would do, with Stark being first for the speed, then Range, then Snow. That's what I'm going to do.
All right. That's what I was thinking. That you confirmed my logic.
Yep. Okay, 3 questions left, so we'll start going through these.
Okay.
Ranger, question from Acheron. How many resources are you putting into the Galactic Chase? Are the droid ships useful before we get Malevolence?
I don't know how useful they'll be. I'm doing the 300 crystals a day. I'm basically 69 out of 85, and there's still 2 days left on the event. So not only will I get it unlocked, I'll have extra shards doing it that way. Without the Malevolence, it's hard to say how good. I mean, both the Y-Wing and this ship, when we looked at the kits, are really good. They're not, they didn't blow me away, but I'm like, those are really solid ships. They're really nice, and I like some of the abilities and stuff. But what looks good on paper, the old adage, doesn't necessarily translate to how effective it'll be out in the real world. So, it's still out of how good it's going to be, but I am investing resources. I mean, I do have the resources. Even spending 300 crystals a day on Cantina, I still, because I get first or second in arena with my rotation and ship, crystal payout, I'm still making additional crystals from that. So I'm in a position to do it. If you're not in a position to do it, would it be worth it? It depends on where you're at with your roster. Now, if you really love ships and you just want the ship, go for it. There's still 2 really solid tanks. So I'm still really interested more in that Y-Wing than the Hyena bomber.
Smart. You're smart.
What's that?
You're smart. they're distracting us right now with the Hyena Bomber, but he's not relevant for 6 months.
Right. I'm more interested in that Y-Wing, because that team on
the
the GR
Y-Wing,
team.
If you were gonna whale, the Y-Wing's the one you want.
Yeah.
Because that's the current meta. That's like the newest, greatest that's gonna make Galactic Republic good. And Galactic Republic are like everything perfect already, except for they need a Houndstooth replacement is all.
Yep. Because you put that ship with Anakin and Ahsoka, especially since a lot of us just relic them and had them on the teams. The ETA and Ahsoka ship as a combination are nasty. So that was the one that really stood out to me. But if you want to go for the Hyena and maybe see what Malevolence is going to bring, we still need more separatist ships. We'll have the Vulture Droid, the Hyena. You can use the Geonosians probably in a lineup with Malevolence. And I think that would be a good team. But that Y-Wing has got me perked up a little bit. So there you go. Well, if you like to, if you got the crystals, go for it. Get the ship unlocked. It's nice to have it in your lineup. But yeah, focus more on the Y-Wing. Now, Marquee's coming up next week.
Mm-hmm. All right. Warrior, next question from you, from Darth Nogri. Question: I am running a Rebel team in Ship Arena. What relic level would you recommend for Akbar, Han, Chewie? Also, what is your kill order going against a GK ship team?
So 2 questions, relic and then kill order. So the relics, for Biston's ship, I went to relic tier 3 for the 2 crew members. I actually ended up taking Scarif Rebel Pathfinder to 4, just to give him just a little extra boost, but I'll eventually take him to 5. I just kind of stopped at 4 because it's too many people to relic up. But you want an edge over somebody who's got the same relic tier. So sometimes going 1 relic tier over gives you that slight advantage. But relic tier 3 for Biston's ship for that extra speed, and then Millennium Falcon. Really, if you can have a relic tier 5 or above on Han and Chewie, preferably 7, but 5 will work. That makes it much more durable, hit harder, all of that. And then Houndstooth, you'd want Bosk at relic tier 5 or above is really the goal there. For the relics, for kind of your like starting lineup. The rest, your like reinforcements and stuff can actually just be, your gear 12 or whatever is fine. It's really that initial 3. And then as far as like kill order, when I'm going against it in arena, if I've, decided to use this team or whatever, or because, Grand Arena Championships is going to start introducing ships, I'm sure I'm going to see that on defense a lot. There's a couple of minds of trains of thought. The first is, go after Anakin and burn up his like, savior type thing, the Valor, whatever that protects him. The other is just to burn down their Houndstooth and then start hammering away at the rest of their ships. Personally, me, I'm of the mind that you can burn down their 5s. If you are fast enough and you have the relic level enough, you can burn down their 5s. If they have an equally relic team, and I like to just burn down their Houndstooth and get it gone. And then once Houndstooth is gone, you can really start to, cherry pick and take that team away. But Anakin is really important. And one of the things you can do is you can burn Anakin down. He gets revived, goes into stealth mode, and gets a little extra protection, right? Well, it's bugged right now. You can hit him a bunch and he like never dies because that buff doesn't fall off. And they're talking about that and they're going to address that. But in theory, you should, once he's had so many turns with that buff, I think it's 2 turns, and then when that ship's maxed, it'll be 3 turns, but it lasts even past 2 turns, which is crazy. But once it's been expended, it's supposed to go away, and then he goes in stealth and stuff. You should be able to save your AoEs from the ship, from other ships, from your capital ship, blah, blah, blah. So that way you can, do the AoE. So once he gets killed and revived or, saved, and he goes into stealth, you should be able to then do AoEs to finish him off. Once Anakin's ship is down, the whole team falls apart. He is not only a massive damage dealer, but he just melts the opposing Houndstooth and stuff. Once he's gone, you're good. So really, it's a matter of just taking out Anakin. But like I said, it's bugged right now. I've tried a couple of times where I hit him and his savior or whatever it's called, snapped, and he went into stealth protection, and the buff stayed there. and I'm just like hammering him with like 15 people, and he's just like, I'm not gonna die. And so anyway, they know about that, and they're gonna work on that. But really, countering right now is difficult because of that bug. So, but yeah, AOE's are your friend. You want to use them sparingly. You want to make sure that you trigger their death, and then do the AOE's after that. As far as your capital ship, let's see what my capital ship's at, because honestly, I think I only took him to Relic Tier 3, but maybe I went higher. Yeah, I have him at Relic Tier 3, Admiral Akbar. So, he's higher, but he's not Relic Tier 7. Funny thing is, I think if you took the Rebels all to Relic Tier 7, the way that everybody's taking Galactic Republic to Tier 7, I think the Rebels would actually have a slight edge. But nobody's investing all the relics into the old, they're investing all the relics into the new. So that's kind of exciting, because if, if you're into the Rebels and you start putting your relics into them, you could just go all in on them and maintain that as a legitimate team. And trust me, they're difficult to beat even with this because of the AoEs. I have lost on offense to a Rebel team, and that particular Rebel team, they all have he has Relic Tier 5 on everyone for his entire ship's team. And it's very difficult to beat. And he has Sunfac coming in as his first, which stuns one of my characters, which is annoying. And he's another tank. He's like one of the tankiest tanks, and it gives him time to keep doing damage, and it just wears my team down. So there are more than one viable team. Like I tell people that all the time, but it's what we put our investment into. A lot of people are investing in Galactic Republic. Not a problem. Those are great teams. In fact, those are great teams. But Rebels are still viable in the game, and they're still viable in ships, of course. And I see that every day in my leaderboard, and I hear that on Facebook, people talking about them kicking butt in Rebels. So, yep.
Okay. Warrior, how much time do you have? Do you have a little bit of time to do one more question and then fun questions? Because we have some for you. Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So last question then for you, Ranger. Doc Area question. I have Gear 11 5-star gas. I have not Zeta's Shock T at all. Are they worth it if she is in the Padme team?
Is the Zeta worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Her unique is. That's a great unique Zeta, and it works very, very well for the Padme team. What was the part about General Anakin?
He's just saying he has a Gear 11 5-star General Anakin.
Yeah, her leader, I still think Rex is a better leader, so I have not done it, nor do I plan on doing it. It's a good leader, but I just think Rex's lead is better. If you're going to run Shock T and General Anakin as like two other 501st in that lineup, is what I think you're saying. But yeah, her unique is definitely worth it. You can put her on the Padme team, and Shock T is amazing. And I actually do that. I actually run Shock T under the Padme team, and I've moved Snips over to my 501st team. And I'm seeing a lot of bang for my buck, and Shock T works phenomenally well. So it's the same thing like Snips did with removing buffs and stuff. But she also does the retribution for the team and stuff like that. I mean, it's really, really nice. So I would say the Zeta on Shock T is definitely worth it. He didn't ask me about Zetas for gas or anything, right?
No. He was just asking about Shock T.
Yeah, her unique gas leader. Wait till later.
Okay. So now we have one Around the Corn question from Michael H. We'll start with Warrior. It says, Around the Corn, what's everyone's approach to counter Relic 7 gas teams? What Relic level are your tunes?
I think it's called Praying.
Yeah, there are multiple teams everyone's using. I mean, I've seen on Facebook, I've seen on YouTube, I've seen on Reddit. Everyone's talking on Discord, and the three teams that I see people using are the Padme team, which is I think the preferred by most people.
Yeah.
The Rebels team, and then the Darth Revan team. And for all of them, you need high relics. I mean, when my guy on my leaderboard first got his level 7 and stuff, and he had his relics at like 5, I was able to beat him with my my Sith Empire. But I had some like Relic 3, and he had Relic 5, and I was able to beat him. As soon as he got into Relic Tier 7 on 2 of his clones, I stopped winning. So I noticed that those last 2 Relic Tiers made the difference between winning and losing with Sith Empire. So you kind of have to be paired with, if you're going to use Sith Empire against it, you got to be paired up against someone who's got kind of comparable relics. or you're going to lose. Now, if you had a Relic Tier 7 Sith Empire team where, like, you know, even HK is Relic Tier 7, you can still beat it, actually. So it's all relative to your Relic level, and your Relic level needs to be equal to or greater than for you to win. And like I said, those 3 teams I've seen success with. Me personally, I've tried Rebels and I failed because he's too high Relic. I've tried my Sith Empire now and I fail. I've tried Padme and I fail. My Relic tiers aren't high enough with all of those characters to be successful, sadly, against the specific one I have in my leaderboard. He's got a really great, well-modded team, and it is very difficult. The whole leaderboard's struggling. We knock him from first to third. Not every day, but some days. Someone will win. We all try all day to beat him. And someone will finally get the RNG and beat him and push him to third, and then we all take our first, and then the next day he goes back to first. And some days he sits in first, and nobody bumps him because we all just have to take seconds. That's the power of this new power creep.
Yeah. Okay, now let's jump into the fun question. So Warrior, we're going to start with you here. Question from Minato Namikaze, a friend of this show. He says, are you not considered a long-time player because you've only restarted the game once and not 5 times like some devs?
Well, if you heard earlier, I have actually restarted multiple times. I have 3 total accounts that I've built and used and stuff. I've given one of them away, but I have my main account, an alt that I had created that I no longer use, and then an alt that I started, Scissorman, just this last year. So I have 3. So apparently I know all about the long game experience because of Scissorman. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I still have my Warrior account, so I know all about the struggles of in-game for sure.
And there goes any chance of Warrior getting an interview with CG Devs. Okay, next question from Sith Lord 72 for Ranger and Finn. I love the stream on the QA yesterday. Can you do one for the State of the Galaxy? We might be able to do that. We cover the State of the Galaxy when it's posted, but we haven't done anything where we're reading it.
Goofy, yeah.
So, yeah, we can do that. I think we can do that.
Sure, fine.
Next question. From Grim, have you watched the announcement trailer and gameplay trailer for Diablo IV that was dropped at BlizzCon yesterday?
Yes.
I actually did, and I am excited.
I am too. Looks really good.
Warrior, do you play PC games, Diablo, anything like that?
I did a long time ago. I haven't played like a real game in a long time. If I ever got into another real game, the Star Wars would probably go to the wayside because I do love me some Xbox One games, and this new Jedi game is coming out. It's got me pretty excited to get into a storyline again and something that's got a single player mode. I enjoy those. Like, for example, AKA my favorite game in history are the Elder Scrolls series of games. Oblivion, Morrowind, Skyrim, and of course Skyrim of those 3 is the best just because it's the newest, best graphics, blah blah blah. But I would love another Elder Scrolls from somewhere, make another one that's not online. That would be cool. And then of course this new Jedi one looks awesome. But Diablo looks cool. I never got into Diablo originally. I played it a few times. I have a friend that's really into it, so I enjoyed watching him play it. Actually, sometimes games are, for me, just fun to experience without having to learn it. Just enjoy watching somebody conquering. So
okay, next question from Acheron. Who made it to the Khyber Club? I did not. I never do the feats.
I was short again, like always am. Division 1 is a pain in the ass to get to Khyber. I'm always like 1,000 short. One match it's like it costs me. It's unless it's just the way the cookie crumbles.
I think I went 11-1 in my GACs, and I was off by like 6,000 or something like that because I don't bother doing any of the feats. Most of my victories actually come because I go heavy on defense. Because I prefer to go heavy on defense. I'd rather just get the win. I don't really care about the Khyber stuff. And so I never get nearly enough points because I don't get full clears most of the time. And then my opponents don't get full clears either, which is how I win. And then, I don't do any of the feats and stuff. So I don't make it into Khyber.
So, Warrior, not even close. I win some, I lose some. It's 50-50, but there's no way in hell you can get close to Khyber winning 50-50. So that is what it is. My Scissorman account, I've hit Khyber every time. I win pretty much always, though. So I hit Khyber near the end. and I try to do all the feats, but it does pain me when I can't get all the feats, because there are some feats. It's like, use a General Grievous on offense. I'm like, I need a General Grievous, or use a full clones team, or at least 3 clones, and it's like, I don't even have a clone team. So some of those I just can't do. By the way, side note, speaking of those, the newer ones that are coming out down the road are going to be tailored to different things. They said First Order was where they were going to put their focus. So I'm interested to see what feats they give us for First Order. I'll be interested. They did mention a couple. They gave some examples. So if you're interested,
I forgot about the dumb, stupid Finn Stormtrooper one. I was like, oh Lord.
Yeah, they're like, you got to use Finn with them or whatever. I don't know. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see some of those feats and stuff, because it creates kind of some creative gameplay to earn those extra points if you want to do it. And for someone like me on Scissorman who cares about Khyber, those will be the difference makers between me making it possibly or not, or even being in the top 10 or not.
Yep. Okay. Next question from Hellenix for Warrior. He says, based on what you had posted in our meme channel in the Discord, he says, your meme game is a skill few can match, young warrior. Is it possible to learn this power? Yeah, you can learn it. All you got to do is, so you've got to learn to be a troll extraordinaire. So, you got to get on the level of Finn, and then once you're on the level of Finn, you start to absorb that meme skill. It just starts to become a part of who you are.
You must unlearn, but you have learned.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. A whole world of trolls.
Did he just insult me? I don't know.
No, I'm insulting myself, because now I feel like I'm impacting you in a negative way, warrior.
No.
I am corrupting you with the troll side.
No, that's I have fun trolling, but in a healthy way. On Facebook, if you go on there, you'll see me on there. I love interacting with people, and I love giving good and sound advice and all of that. But there's times when someone kind of deserves a little bit of fun trolling, just a little. So you kind of have to troll them a little, So, and it's fun. Nothing super rude. Like, I don't get downright disrespectful. Some people do, and it's like, dude, chill out. We're just having a little fun. So.
All right, Grim question: how many maple bacon donuts can be bought with $8? Depends where you go.
This is you, buddy.
It's 1 to 3 depending on where you go, because maple bacon is usually a specialty donut. There's usually an upcharge for those. Depending on where you go and how much they mass produce it, the cost can vary anywhere between, I've seen it $2.50 before. I've also seen it up to $6 for a maple bacon donut, depending where you go.
There you go.
And some of them have like filling inside.
And if you have a Sure Shot, which I have a Sure Shot, I get them for free.
Oh, well, then, yeah.
Sure Shot brings me one every single week that we do a live stream. So he just brings me a bacon maple donut and hands it to me, and I go, oh, it's free!
So the goal is to use your $8 in order to buy a weekly visit from Sure Shot, and then you get them for free.
That's right.
So unlimited. There you go. Minato Namikaze for Warrior question: are you going to put up a Zeta for the ACS campaign this year? I really want to see you drop a Zeta on Canderous Ordo.
Oh, Canderous wouldn't be a problem. I think he'd be okay. I would actually Zeta him. Not that that's a super amazing one, but yeah, I would. I'd put it up for him.
Yeah,
I think there's other worse.
Yeah, but what are the other ones you're going to put up that are going to make you sweat?
Yeah. No, I think that I think we would do the same thing. We'll pick 4 Zetas, and I'm happy to do that. That's fine. We can do that. I'll commit to that. We'll have one Zeta that's decent, and then we'll have 3 Zetas that suck, and then you guys can vote them. Whichever one you guys vote for.
Rose round 2 for Warrior. Here we go.
I really, 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 really wish that Cup had a Zeta, and I wish that would be an option that everybody could troll me and make me do, because I actually would like to do a Zeta on Cup. There's a Zeta to be done, so whatever. But I'll find a purpose for a character if they've got a Zeta.
That would be so much fun. If I was thinking the same thing.
You don't need Cassian Zeta. It's not that good. In fact, nobody's Zeta him anymore. But if it was thrown on my character, he'd be just that much better. So
there you go.
Okay. And last question here from Chewy. What's going on with the RSG podcast? So I have been away like in alternating weekends for like all of October. I've had a few trips that I had to make. And so last weekend, I think it was, I caught up on 2 weeks of the podcast. This week I plan on catching up on another 2, if not 3. So I'm going to catch up the podcast slowly but surely. But the only place to get the stuff as close to real time as possible, and it's just going to be real time, is YouTube. The podcast is always going to be lagging behind a little bit, probably a week at minimum. And this is kind of a maximum where it's, I think right now, about a month and a half behind. So I'm going to try and catch up a little bit.
Someone's asked me about the other day. I'm like, leave Finn alone. He's busy.
Yeah, I was just traveling. And so I had gone to, where did I go first? I think it was Philly first.
Yeah.
And then I came back and it was like a whole week of catch up that I had to do at work. And then the following, not the immediate following weekend, because I was still doing catch up, but then the next weekend I had to go to Chicago on a Thursday. So then I was there for 4 days, and then I came back, and then I managed to update that weekend, and now I'll try and continue. So,
all right,
there you go. That's it for questions.
All right, Warrior, my man. Where can folks check out your wonderful content?
Well, you can check me out on my channel, Warrior Presents, or Warriors Roster Reviews, and hit me up. We'll chat.
Very nice. Check out his Scissorman stuff. It's the funniest shit ever. Story time with Warrior's the best. What was this last week you did? You did the car incident, if that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. And so you want to hear a funny story about that really quick before I go?
Yeah.
So I talk about that story, and in the story I mention that, that I had to steal 50 cents from my mom, and for gas, because I didn't have enough gas money, and I had gone to a gas station to get $1 in gas, which back then was a gallon of gas, and I got 50-cent piece, and I thought it was $1 piece, and I had to go back to my mom. I had to run back to the house and steal 50 cents to go back to the gas station so they'd let me have my car, because they were holding my car on 50 cents a gas. But anyway, so crazy, but she has never heard a single live stream in my life, ever. And my brother was in town, and so he was with my mom, because my mom's sister just passed. So he was in town, kind of visiting and kind of hanging out with mom. And he's like, "Let's watch Warrior. He's streaming." So he puts the live stream on, and my mom gets to watch that story time where I replay that story, and I'm just like, "Andrew, what the hell are you doing?" The one story where I
told you to take the wizard staff.
Story time is never mother friendly. Like, it's never going to be like, "What are you doing?" Well, anyway, she listened to it. She said it was fine or whatever. She's like, I know.
Oh,
she doesn't care.
fantastic.
It was a pass. But I know the one time I talk about something bad that it involves my mom, which was stealing 50 cents from her as a child. She's listening. She's listening to it. I'm glad that's the only thing that I'm like, sad about or whatever for doing, because I was a decently good child, I would say.
There you go. All right, and then if you're watching this, you're watching, of course, the RSG. We do this every Saturday, but we have a lot of other content that we're doing. Monday through Friday, we do the lunch stream. We do roster reviews. I suffer through mod depression, and we answer questions live on the air for you guys. Every Wednesday, we have the longest-running live stream in the galaxy. The longest, it's been going along. We're coming up on 4 years. Oh, my God. So we have that, and then we have a lot of other content. Today I saw fourth Okage. He's like, "Rangers have been playing Battlefield this week." Well, I'm sorry, I hadn't slept in 2 days, and I've been keeping my ass kicked by allergies. When you don't feel good, you just don't feel like playing video games. But I will be playing tonight, so probably 5 or 6. I'll stream that. I know the new Legion that I'm in, the 66 Legion, is looking to do something. They have like a deployment, but I think I'm going to skip that and just do a live stream. If those guys want to come hang out, that's fine. You're more than welcome to come hang out. But we do other games. We've got Tactical Monster content. We've got D&D. We've started a new D&D Star Wars game. So we'll go between that and the regular D&D game on Sundays on Twitch. Finn's been doing a lot of Borderlands and giveaways and things like that on our Twitch channel for Borderlands 3. What else have we been doing, Finn? We've been doing a lot of stuff, man.
Yep, we've been updating a lot of our stream and content and trying to get a better schedule on Twitch and working on some more videos on YouTube. So working on a lot of different content, plus December 7th.
Yes, December 7th, we are going to be doing our live Reach the Final Goal. We're raising money to fight pediatric cancer. We are December 7th is save the date in your calendars. We are actually pretty much at 12,000 away from reaching our goal of 17,500. So help us in our fight against pediatric cancer. We're raising money. We'll have a lot of fun stuff that day. We're going to stream until we hit the goal. So either I'm going to die or we're going to get the goal. Finn will be streaming, but we know Finn's doesn't have the stamina that I do, so he will pass out. And
yep, because I'm going to be streaming on the 8th for 12 hours.
Yeah. I'll be still up, and Finn, and I'll be like have blood.
Yeah, I'll be on Twitch on the 8th, so we're going to make it kind of a
we're not stopping till we get to that goal. Damn it, because I don't want to have to do it again in like March. Like, help us. So we got that.
Not going. Help us, help the children.
I know.
It's for the children.
Yes, and this is all leading us doing the half marathon at Disney World again in April, where we'll be running the half marathon, the 5K, and doing all that stuff. So we've got that. We've got that coming up. So please help support us. You can visit our Tiltify campaign if you'd like to support us. We've got things you can buy, like our wristbands to show our support for what we're doing. You can go back and watch the video when we visited the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. So yeah, so a lot of cool things going on with RSG. Do me a favor, not just us, with these other folks. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, check out our content. It does really help with the algorithm and monetization with YouTube, getting the content out there so other people will click on it and stuff. But do the same thing for Warrior. Do the same thing for Operation Metaverse and Mobile Gamer and Cubs. Just find the ones you like and support them. You know, these folks put out this great content. Even the new streamers like Nev and just Ian and our boy Xylo. And you've got like the Escape Podcast and things of that nature that you can support. We got our boy Urs, the madman of the Outer Rim, the heartthrob himself. There's a lot of great stuff out there. So find the ones you like, support them. And especially support the folks like that come here. They're not here today, but you know, like Remon and Operation Metaverse. You know, so go to Warriors channel, give them a thumbs up, subscribe. You know, obviously you're, Urs finally says, hey, at the end of the stream when I say his name. Doesn't say hello, Finn. Before then, he just goes, hey, I'm pimping his stuff for free. Then he pipes up.
Hey, Urs.
Yeah.
I watched your video. I hope they bring more Tuscans too. That's all I gotta say.
I don't. So you're a very bad man for saying that, Urs. But yeah, check out these guys. I mean, they put out great stuff. Visit the hall, visit all these channels, and you know, we're all about at RSU. We're here about the community, bringing up a community and stuff like that. So yeah, so we appreciate you guys' support. Love you guys. Urs, he's lurking. Oh Christ. Yeah, Urs, why don't you, instead of lurking, why don't you get your monkey ass in here and be on the panel for one time? You're always welcome, you Nimrod. I'm lurking, but I'm not going to participate because I'm
pretty sure that that would be sweet comment is for the Tuscan dog. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it has nothing to do. Yeah, that's why I'm still giving him a hard time, Finn. So, if you'd like to see Urs be on the Jedi Academy, just say, Urs, quit being lazy. Get your ass up at 8 o'clock p.m. like our good friend Warrior and answer questions. But with that, we're going to call this one done. So I'll be back tonight to do some Battlefront. Finn, are you doing any Borderlands stuff today or anything? Or are you just kind of chilling like a villain?
Possibly something in the evening. Still trying to figure out what to do about Saturday night gaming this week. Something on Twitch in the evening around 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll figure out what it is.
He says swim lessons conflict with Jedi Academy. Or is this thing called technology where you can be there watching whoever do their swims and then you can still be on there just talking? I got to give you a hard time, Urs. Is what I do. But no, family comes first. I can't say that, Finn. Damn it. So with that, we're going to call this one done. Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you for the rest of the stuff. And with that, I do not want full cell phone audio now. That's fine. Just give me a hard time.
Splash, Urs was taking a bath.
On about a Saturday night.
Morning.
Morning.
Okay.
Glub,
We're going off the
in
rails.
the tub.
We need to end it. We're going too far.
Okay, so have a great rest of your day, guys. Check out all these other content creators. Check out the ACS. And with that, we're going to call this one done. And we'll see you next Saturday or whenever we see you. Peace out, be safe, and we'll holler at you later.